All right, good morning, everybody. I guess we're gonna start with a little process and overview. Boyce, I know that you and your team have been receiving all these departmental requests the last couple months, really. And we already have gone over the capital budget requests, initial stuff, so tell me a little bit about the operating budget.
Yes, ma'am. Today and tomorrow, we're gonna go through the budget hearings, and really the purpose is for the various departments and our partner agencies to describe to you and, what they've requested, explain it more fully than what you might just see in the written word, and then respond to any questions that you may have so that you have a full understanding of it as they leave here. After that, we set about determining which ones we think we can afford, which ones we think we can't, that type of thing. And at some point, we come to you with a draft and say, is this good, bad, you want to change, so forth, so we can get ready to propose the upcoming budget. The proposed budget is provided to council at your State of the City address on, it's April 26th, I think it is.
Yeah, Friday, April 26th.
Yes, and
It's on my calendar.
and one thing I wanted to point out on the agenda for today, at 1:45, due to some reasons, we've got a 1:45 hard stop today, which means fire and KEMA are going to start at 8 a.m. tomorrow morning. And then when you see other organizations, if needed, at the end of the day tomorrow, we're going to have risk and benefits. They've got one, and information technology has got one.
Okay, well, so we already have some other words.
Yes, ma'am. So, and that's pretty much all I've got. I think, pending any comments you have, the next person we'll talk is Chief
Yeah.
Harper.
Well, this I guess will be my 5th time doing this as mayor, and I am familiar with the process, and it's basically, the hearings are to hear what people want and need, and also just a matter of setting priorities, because it's not a matter of this is a good thing, this is a bad thing, but which of these crucial needs can we afford to fund, and it's setting priorities, and that's what I'm elected to do with your help. So I forgot to bring a pen, so I see you might have an extra. Someone
I
has.
always have an extra
Okay, thank you.
left in the pocket off the side. Sorry.
Thank you so much. All right, Grant, you're up first if you're ready to get started. Do you want to wait till some of your team gets here, or do you want to?
I don't mind to get started. I guess
Okay.
Chad's out.
we're ahead of schedule. Chad's out. Rachel's going to be here.
Occasionally we're ahead of schedule. Let's take advantage. But I'm happy to wait. Do you have some things you wanted to discuss before we get into public service?
No, just me sharing that this budget's a reflection of our brilliant at the basics in terms of the operations team. It's going to reflect our focus on executing, streamlining of our development services process, implementing Vision Zero, eliminate traffic fatalities on local roads by 2040. We're going to be launching a master plan, our parks and recreation system. But a lot of things, modernizing our day-to-day services, being more efficient, responsive, customer-oriented, sustainable. We're going to be successfully launching CAT Reimagined this year. It's exciting.
There's a lot going on.
And then addressing, some of this refers to capital, but establishing a plan to address our backlog and deferred maintenance throughout our facilities, both vertical and civil. And then overall, just being more data-driven in our decision-making. So executing those priorities, that just doesn't happen without investment and development of our processes, our programs, our projects. But most importantly, I think this budget in particular reflects our biggest priority, which is people. So we can't execute any of those things without really great people. So I'm just, again, I don't have my team here, but I'm grateful. I'm grateful for our operations team. They're really the backbone of city government, and grateful for their hard work and commitment. Just excited to hear from them today. We've got public service fleet, engineering, plans review, CAT today from operations. And tomorrow we'll have KEMA, Parks and Rec, PBA from the ops team. So.
Grant, I know that staffing a couple of years ago was a real issue in our departments. I know that fleet is almost fully staffed, one open position. Public service has made real headway. Engineering, we're going to talk about that a little later. There's a couple. Talk about staffing just really quickly, because that is the key to getting everything done that you need.
Yeah, I think in terms of hiring, I think the comp plan made huge strides in most of our departments. Public service plans review, for example, we had a really good pool of applicants. We just hired a Vision Zero coordinator, had a good pool of applicants. So by and large, we're seeing good progress in our hiring and getting good people, and I think that's a reflection of our compensation plan improvements.
And I think, pretty been reasonably competitive on salaries, and then I think better than private sector on benefits, helps a lot. Good morning.
There's some areas where we're going to focus on. We've had to do some augmentation, particularly like traffic engineering. Again, some of the other engineering positions, we have traffic engineers have been a challenge, and as we know, KP hiring is a big challenge for us going forward. Our CAT system, we're seeing a lot of progress there too, by the way, for bus drivers. So it's a big goal we're trying to achieve.
Yeah.
It's been successful, but you'll see some things in our budget, obviously.
Yes, I've had a little preview of the CAP budget request, so, okay. Well, Grant, did you have anything else?
That's all I had to share, yeah.
No, and Mayor, I think it will be important, boys, reiterate this, because we're on CTV and because council members do look at this schedule. We may get a few minutes ahead, but if we get too far ahead, we're just going to want to take a break, which is fine. We can.
Well, since we're here with public service and we'll give it another couple minutes, but we'll take this time to, I want to give you all some feedback that I'm hearing from the community, and is that they're just really grateful for the work public service is doing. Obviously, the response during the recent snow event and cold weather, people especially appreciative of all the work that public service did, and really, it was just more visible. Usually a lot of the work that public service does is happening out of sight or early in the morning or whatever, but they were really more visible and extra appreciated. So good job. Also, I just want to say to Mackenzie, someone contacted you about composting, and she just said you were super helpful and gave her what the city's doing and also resources through UT and others. So people are really into composting, or the people who are into composting are really into it.
Yeah.
Like it's like
Those are the calls I'll take.
those are the
Those are the calls I'll take anyway.
yeah.
There are other calls.
Yeah. There are other calls that I wish I had the most. Those can come all of them.
But I just think the work that we're doing on waste. I mean, it's very much a huge component of our sustainability efforts and efforts on transportation, waste, and buildings. That's the sources of greenhouse gases, and those are the levers we have to push. And obviously, facilities management. That's part of making our. How many buildings do we manage?
It's over 100.
Over 100. So if we manage those in the most clean, energy efficient manner possible, and try to slowly convert to electric vehicles, renewable energy, net zero buildings. I mean, I know we're not there yet, but I think with ingenuity, good people, budget. It'll save money and save our lungs and clean air, clean energy, all those things. So
We got our first electric pickup truck, the first Ford Lightning.
Yeah.
And it's getting rave reviews. So,
Yeah?
Yeah.
Who's
So
like, where's
Yeah,
it
who's
assigned?
using it?
Who's using it?
Alex.
Oh, Alex.
Yeah.
Facilities.
Yep. And
Yeah, makes
facilities. Yeah. So it's
there's 100 facilities, so make, you know,
He
oversee.
drives a lot.
Yeah,
One philosophical shift, culture shift, I know Mackenzie and Rachel have been involved with too, is we used to have solid waste. That's still a common term, but looking at it as waste resources is really, how do we look at that as a resource? Do recycling and composting, and when we think about recycling with our CUD construction materials. So that's a cultural shift that if you don't start it, it doesn't ever happen. And they started it several years ago, and it starts to grow.
good. Well, and, you probably saw, I appointed a new sustainability director. So when she starts in April, you know, I'm sure you'll have some good conversations with, because, you know, the sustainability department is only effective insofar as they work with public service and other departments. So I'm sure you'll get to know her.
Close enough.
Are we still too far ahead for,
I think
Yeah, I think we're good. I mean,
massive audiences?
I think we
that,
just don't want to get 30 and 40 minutes
Right.
ahead, especially as we get closer to, no offense to public service, police, fire,
Oh.
cats. Those are departments that oftentimes will have council members and more media come in on. Sorry.
Well,
The big spenders.
I like to talk as much as Sherry does, so we're gonna get really quick this morning.
It's not a bad thing.
Rachel, why don't you start by introducing everybody and maybe mention the person who's not here? Yeah, he's doing a pretty good job too.
Yeah.
But please go ahead.
Yep, well, I'll start. Good morning. If you know Chad, you know when he takes leave, he likes to go camping, golfing, skiing. Chad is ill today. He's not doing any of those. He sends his regrets, and I truly think he would much rather be here than doing what he is now. Yeah.
Usually wears the green tie for
He
the
does,
money.
like-
Tell him
I couldn't do it.
No funding this year.
Okay, no funding.
It's our fault, right?
No, we do all blackberry.
No green at all. It's all black and white.
Zero.
All business. All business.
I'm Rachel Butzler. I'm the Deputy Director of the Public Service Department.
And how long have you been with the city?
I've been in my role for about 7 years. I've been with public service for 9 years, and I've been with the city for 12 years.
Started in engineering.
Yep, stormwater engineering. And like Chad always says, I'm really proud of our department. I'm proud of our employees and the work that we get done every day. We have a great team, and part of our team is Sherry Bennett. She is the department's admin tech, and Mackenzie Reed is the waste and resources manager.
And how long have Sherry and Mackenzie been with the city?
I've been with the city since '94, so this
Is that
year will
all?
be my 30th
Is that all?
year.
30th.
Yes.
Wow.
I've been in public service since 2018. And
You were in purchasing?
I was in purchasing, yes. I started in purchasing, I think it was 2001, I want to say. But yeah, I've enjoyed all of my time with the city. It's been great.
30 years. Thank
30
you.
years.
Sure likes cheesecake, I just want to.
Okay.
It's important to know.
Having known her for many years.
This month I have been here for 8 years. And I've been in this office.
But you came as,
Yeah, you came as a miracle? No, you started just.
Everybody always sees
She was, just in a different place.
but you
No,
were
I was
American.
never in
I
a
thought you were.
See?
UT Recycling.
UT
Yes,
Recycling, that was it.
University's recycling office.
UT Recycling.
Yeah, under Jay Price. And then came here and just continued learning about trash. So.
Resources, waste resources.
Yes,
Yeah.
And now, and you did a great job on the chocolate chip.
Thank you.
That was really cool. So,
Thank you.
many skills. All right, so now let's get to the budget request.
Okay, well, I'd like to we only have one budget request, so I want to take a minute to talk
Please.
about this year operationally.
Okay.
I guess the first thing, even with the great team that we have, recruitment does still continue to be a challenge. The salary survey helped, but we're struggling with getting good candidates in the door to interview, and also we're struggling a little bit with retention. So in 2023, we hired 43 new applicants and we promoted 47 employees. We currently have 32 vacancies, and in a department of 304, we never expect to be 100% because that's just not feasible. We do like that number to be closer to 15 or below. So knowing that we have some work to do, we do have a plan. We attend job fairs regularly, and we have an interactive booth with updated materials. We're actually working with HR and community empowerment. We're doing a citywide career fair on April 3rd, and we're doing this over at our complex. So inside, the inside's gonna be set up more like a standard job fair with booths and stuff, but we're booths. Sorry. It might make it more interesting. But outside, we have a permit to shut down Morris Avenue, and we're gonna set up heavy equipment with police, fire, our department, engineering. So hopefully that'll
It's
be.
like touch a truck.
It is, so it's gonna be demonstration, engaging. People love.
I mean,
Yeah.
those like the big vehicles
Yeah,
too.
they do. And we're actually hoping for more like engagement and like real conversations about what we do, having that aspect out there. So
And we help people get their commercial driver's license.
Mhm.
We pay for it?
Yep.
Or- okay.
Yep.
That's a big deal.
Yeah.
Great
When
career.
people, I know we ask people to do an exit interview if they, when they leave, if they just, so aside from people leaving because of retirement, have you gotten any feedback from those interviews to know why they're leaving? Is it just money?
A lot of it actually is, so a lot of our employees live in like Union County or Sevier County and things like that.
Distance.
So yeah, if they have a chance to work for Public Works in Sevier County, they jump at it. And so that's one thing we can't struggle with. I will say that a lot of those counties are doing the cooperative pension through the state or whatever. I'm not exactly sure what that's called, but that definitely is.
So maybe we need to try to recruit from people who live in
Right.
Knoxville, Knox
Yeah.
County, if possible. I mean,
Well, that's next on my list.
Okay.
We are actually actively working with 865 Academies to make
Awesome.
connection. I think we've identified 3 high schools that we want to work with. Austin East, Fulton, those 2 for sure, and we're debating between Central and I think it's Gibbs, like see if we want to get more of the rural, but Central also has an agricultural program. So we're going to talk to them and see what's the best fit for that. But
okay.
we're actively doing that. And then we
Good,
also
that's great.
It took them a while to get that program off the ground, but I think it's finally up and running, and I think it's going to be great. And then we also have good contacts for with TCAP for the cooperative experience in facilities for exposure to like the trades and stuff like that.
Okay.
Some of our operational highlights from 2023: we collected 32,000 tons of Russian leaves. If you remember the storm on August 7th, that was the windstorm and the tornado that touched down in the county. That was an all-hands-on-deck response. We handled 242 emergency tree calls within 48 hours. The actual recovery.
How many?
242.
In 48 hours.
So all roads were open
Wow.
within 48 hours. Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing.
The actual recovery lasted about a month, so that's when we suspended the brush schedule and brush piles, and we picked up everything that the community was putting out. And we spent significant time in 5 parks that had damage. So in that 1 month, we collected double the amount of brush that we collected the previous year in that same month. So,
Wow.
Yeah. We have submitted a FEMA reimbursement claim and hope that if it's funded, that we can use that to supplement any storm response needs that we might have. We completed the downtown trash study this year, and they made recommendations on compactors centrally located around downtown. And that's in the works, just the logistical challenge of finding space, whether it's lease owned, that's convenient and things like that, but that's in the works right now.
Good.
Codes enforcement came under the umbrella of public service this past year. And this number blew my mind. They received 9,770 complaints, which resulted in over 18,000 inspections. Our service area construction crews, they provide support to codes when the owners are non-compliant. We'll go in and we'll clean that up. The curbside recycling program continues to expand. We're at 58% voluntary participation. The transfer station generated over $2.47 million in revenue this year, and that's up from 2.3 from last year. Our new downtown horticulture team has already made a big impact. I don't know if anybody's seen what they've done in Crutch Park. It looks amazing, and I think it's going to be more long-term sustainable and not having to be transplanted all the time. And they're not even fully staffed yet, so I'm super excited to see what they do with the downtown area. And then
This is beyond, this is not the Mark Carnes.
This is-
it's
no,
a
it's a Mark-
horticulture.
Yeah, so this is the
Particular,
horticulture
okay.
in particular, yeah. And then the last thing for operational I want to touch on is the urban forestry master plan, and I know there's been a lot of talk about that. So that was developed with public input, and they've identified 3 long-term strategic goals, and this is to increase quality of the tree canopy, quantity of the tree canopy, and addressing inequities in tree benefits across the city. And they provided strategies to achieve this. And one of the strategies to address the tree canopy quality focuses on invasive species management. And this is a good segue to our one operational request, which is tree contract dollars. So we are requesting $75,000 additional tree contract dollars. The city currently budgets $11,500 for spot kudzu removal around the whole city. The Aslan Foundation funds kudzu removal at Fort Dickerson. And as far as I know, at least not in our budget, there's no other funding for invasive species management. Our current budget for tree contract services is $40,000, but that focuses more on tree removal. So these are going to be trees that exceed our capacity, whether it's with equipment or time. And some tree removals, you have to cross private property to access it, and we'd rather contract that out than having our crew do that. If we got
This is removing invasive trees
That's
like
just-
mimosas.
so currently we're just removing problem trees, so it would be like damaged trees or diseased trees that might fall and damage something. So that's what we currently have enough to do. So with this additional $75,000, it would allow us to focus more on tree canopy quality. So that would be things like a more progressive pruning plan and plant health, like, when the diseases come through, we can treat more. And also an invasive species program. Just kind of to touch on the benefits of invasive species management, a healthy forest has more open understory, so that's less chance for trash, less chance for illegal dumping, and other undesirable activities. So not only is this beautification, but there's a safety aspect involved in
The understory is what? Say that again? At the beginning, I understand the benefits, but what is that first sentence?
It's just a more open understory, so instead of a honeysuckle thicket that people can like,
And honeysuckles invasive.
it is invasive, yeah.
And privet. and all that stuff.
Yeah, those create that thicket, so like a healthy forest is usually more open, so you can kind of see through. So from a safety perspective, being able to see 300 yards versus 10 feet in front of you, that's a big deal.
I've seen this over at like the nature playscape at IAMS, like they cleared out the invasives and
You
you
can,
can see your kids when they're playing off in the distance.
Yeah.
And stuff.
And then natural areas, specifically the urban wilderness, it's a big tourist destination and it's more inviting and it's more appreciated when you see like wildflowers and native species than just this dense thicket of honeysuckle and mimosas and pear trees and things like that. And so really just a biodiverse forest, it's just a healthier forest, it can handle stresses a little bit better and it just looks better. So that's our request, to be able to do more with invasive species in the various green spaces across the city.
And if there wasn't availability for these dollars, how else might you tackle this invasive issue? You're already doing a little bit. Are there other partnerships, Trees Knoxville, other ways through any federal grants we've received to
Yeah,
help
we
dovetail this in?
We actually have Casey worked with IAMS. They've submitted a grant proposal for invasive species management. That is a 4-year, so it's not a continual operational one. It's just a 4-year one. And I think they've identified something like 30 acres that they would like to tackle. And so I guess the goal is that they can tackle that, and then hopefully in 4 years, we'll take over the management of it. So. But anyway, if this is funded, we would be able to tackle more. We'd be able to be preparing for this kind of project moving forward.
This is ongoing forever. How do you actually have a program that's funded to keep doing this?
That's what
what I'm saying.
And ideally, I mean, sometimes you need a big push at the beginning, and then if you have the maintenance, it's easier to keep it down once it's gone.
I think clearing 30 acres, that is a huge undertaking, but to be able to go in and spot and treat, once or twice a year or something like that, that's a lot more feasible. And I also think seeing the benefit of it, we'll get more buy-in just across the board too, so.
All right, well, that seems like certainly worthwhile, goal, and I am interested in trying to optimize our access to the Inflation Reduction Act, which is coming through Agriculture Department, USDA, EPA. We've gotten some already, but I think want to tap into that as much as possible while we can. It's good stuff, especially to kickstart stuff that then we can maintain more efficiently. I'm really pleased and grateful for everything Public Service is doing. The Urban Forest Mastery Plan, I think we're having some kind of public event launching that in the near future. So
I think it's just also important to point out that invasive species was one of the things identified in that plan, so it's something the public is definitely interested in as well.
I really love Casey's approach too, that, trees are like any other asset that we have. We
It's
have lots of
infrastructure.
assets, it's infrastructure, and you've got to treat it like infrastructure. And obviously climate resiliency, heat islands, stormwater, so it's been really nice to see that transition. I know you've been a part of it, so.
Any other questions? All right, well, keep up the good work. Tell Chad that, we missed him, but you
I
all
think
filled
it
in
was
just fine.
space.
Yeah.
We'll let him know you did great with that. He's probably, is he watching right now?
He was.
Is it live on CTV or? No, it's recorded, all right, so.
All right, good job. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I was gonna say something. Good morning. We're right. We're basically,
Perfect, yeah.
All
I just,
right, good morning, welcome everybody, and why don't we start, I know we all know who you are, but why don't you just start by introducing yourselves and present your budget request.
Sure, yeah. It's Brad Shaw, Director of Fleet Services, Fleet Administrative Manager Carrie Collins, and Fleet Operations Manager Jeff Johnston.
Good morning, good to see you again.
Yeah. That were interest.
On the finance side, you've got Crystal and Force. Fleet is one of these.
Good morning.
How long you been?
Well, I'll start. It's all right with everyone. Just a little recap of some stats and things we did in Fleet this year that I'm proud of and I'd love to highlight. Fleet, we have 54 employees, 4 repair shops, 3 tool stops, a new pound facility. That's who Fleet is. We maintain over 1,700 assets and 1,000 on-road units within that number. Average age of our fleet is 6.8 years, which is very good, very competitive. Purchase value of our fleet when we purchased $86 million, so it's a big asset. It's an important part of what the city does. We completed 11,600 repair orders last year, which I think when I did the math, it's about 46 a day. It's mind-boggling. So very busy, very active. Also dispensed about 987,000 gallons of fuel at our fuel site. So that's a little bit of what we're doing. We're also warranty certified center for Stellantis, Pierce, E1, and Ferrara, which are all big manufacturers. And becoming a warranty center is a huge thing for us because it allows us to do a lot of work in-house that a lot of fleet shops cannot do. So we do.
And the warranty stays intact, it doesn't.
I mean, we are the dealer for all of those outfits, and primarily the sales, obviously, but warranties, recalls we run for all those products, which is a huge thing for us. We also obtain diagnostic software for John Deere, Freightliner, Cummins, Ford, and others, which is another huge thing that a lot of fleets do not have proprietary diagnostic software from these large companies. So that allows us to do a lot of things in-house, and I think a lot of fleets in the country tend to be sort of oil and lube shops and quick repair places. We are not that. So that's something I'm very proud of and I want to shout about as often as we can.
That's great.
Yeah.
And is that, been something that's developed in the more recent years?
Yeah, all of that's been in the last, when was our first one, Jeff? 17?
Yeah, it's 17. And it's something we continue to work on.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, which we try
It
to.
saves us a lot of money
Absolutely, yes. Yeah, and downtime even
In
more so.
in time.
We're not driving police cars to the Chrysler dealership,
Yeah,
the Ford dealership, and we do all that work in-house, and we get a check from Chrysler on top of it. So yeah, it's a wonderful thing that we're able to do. It is.
but if you're not careful, we're gonna, people are gonna be, outside customers are gonna be starting to come up.
But we've already been approached.
Yeah, well,
Several
don't say
times.
yes,
Yes.
we got plenty of vehicles to serve
We
right
sure
here
do.
in the city.
Sure do.
I bet you have, I mean, I'm sure.
Yeah, no, it's the word's out, and we've had several local places talk to us about it. So yeah, it's great. Yeah, we've been recognized with top 100 fleet 4 years in a row. We're really proud of that. Government Fleet Magazine gave us leading fleet award last year for the first time.
Amazing.
And 50 of us go out in the country, so we're really proud of that. Hopefully build on that in 2024.
Yeah, the heavy shop started to look like Thompson Molding with all those banners.
That's right. That's the plan.
That's pretty cool. That's the plan. Yeah.
That's the plan.
Hey, Nick, you were the, I know, immediate past president for statewide public works, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm the chapter delegate this year.
Tell us what that means.
I represent the state of Tennessee at the national level.
Where's the next
where
big
you-
conference?
Atlanta.
Atlanta, okay.
Yeah, it'd be an easy one to drive to. I went to San Diego last year, so it's much easier to get a presence out there. I always try to teach a class out there too, so that'll be fun.
Good.
Yeah.
Fleet has come a long way under Rick's leadership, obviously not for a short period. They've just hiked yours.
Yeah, good, thank, and while you're out at these conferences, recruit some people to come back here.
Absolutely.
Especially those, whatever the hardest thing to staff is, I guess technicians or something.
Yeah, you're staffing right now. You're only one down, is that?
That's something.
Okay, let's, yeah,
Wow.
Oh, it's here.
Okay.
I'll let that. but-
unless you keep going, you're,
You're a roll.
impressive list.
Yeah.
Keep going.
Well, I just want to say, and I appreciate kind words for us. The last 3.5 years, we've really focused on establishing a culture and building a foundation for success. So there's been a lot put into that. I think we're at an interesting time in Fleet now, where we're at the point where I think we can take that next step and really establish a culture of excellence. I think we've built a pretty good foundation. We're really looking as we move forward to build on that and really build something that's lasting and really something to be really proud of. So we had a retreat as a leadership team a few months ago and talked about our future planning a lot and where we want to go. And now that we've fixed a lot of sort of the low-hanging fruit and the relatively easy problems and got a good culture, where do we go to be even better, right? So as a part of that, we really identified about 5 initiatives, some areas of improvement we want to really focus on this year. So I want to go just recap those really briefly at the end. But number 1, improve our service delivery and customer service. We've done a lot of restructuring, created some new positions, including some acquisition data specialist jobs, fleet specialist. We've not added any staff, but we've created some new job descriptions and moved assets around to really centralize our point of contact for customers, help us to increase our transparency and our communication with our customers, our internal customers. That admin team, which is under Carrie's leadership, so it's a new team we've just built. I want to keep building on that. They do all our day-to-day contact with customers for order updates, our telematics, vehicle fuel usage, and the liaison between purchasing and our vendors. So I want to keep. I think we've done some good things with reorganizing and adding some talent, and the purpose of that is just to make sure our service delivery is the best it can be for our internal customers and customer service. The ask I have that's a part of that initiative is to have a deputy director. We've got a great team, great leadership team in place now. I'd love to have that extra asset. That's a part of that initiative number 1.
Okay.
Nick, what would that person, tell me what the deputy would do. You would see them, how would they help make fleet better, more efficient?
I think in a myriad of ways. We've got a lot of construction projects going on with the fuel sites. I could definitely use a lot of help management. Jeff's carrying a lot of load on that. I'm carrying a lot of load on that. And then a lot of our day-to-day, I still want to hit our marks a little better on our ordering with we've established target quarters to try to hit our ordering quotas every quarter and hit those targets. A lot of that's on Carrie, and her team's doing great. A little bit more help trying to guide that and make sure we're hitting those. We're purchasing usually 150, 160 vehicles a year. There's only 250 working days in a year, so I mean, it's a lot, right? I want to just make sure we're hitting those marks and closing out. But once approved for FY 24, I'm going to get all those vehicles ordered in FY 24. And sometimes that's hard to do. And we end up with stuff going to the next year. I want to eliminate that, so we're being responsible with our resources. And there's a lot of areas we could just use that little bit extra help with, and help them in on. If I'm out or something, it's nice to have someone that can fill in and do some of those things.
Was there a deputy in the past? Were you a deputy?
I was.
You were the deputy.
He started as a
Okay.
deputy, yeah.
and then that position no longer exists.
Right. Well, it's still on the book. I mean, it's still on the class code list, but it's not.
It's not funded.
There's a reason we did that, and I'm now forgetting. But we'll-
Because I remember when you were at public service,
Public service.
and then civil service, I mean, before that.
Right.
Yeah, because when I first took office, you were deputy to Keith Shields.
Right. Yeah, I was in building inspections once upon a time too, so I'm trying to go through all the departments.
Okay.
As far as so the first initiative I mentioned was improving our service delivery and customer service. Second is developing our technology and our upgrades. We made a real emphasis in trying to modernize this department over the last 3.5 years. We've upgraded our fleet management software to FleetWave 2. We instituted a new fuel system, new fuel management system, Fuel Master.
How's that going? You like it?
I like it quite a bit. Yeah.
It's an improvement over
I think
Fuel
that,
Man or whatever the other one is.
yes, very much. I think the gas boy it was. Yeah, step below Fuel Man, it was gas boy. But,
Okay. It was not called Gas Boy. Are you serious?
Yeah, gas
It
boy.
was more back in, yes.
Yeah, it was gas boy.
Oh, no,
Yes.
Okay, all right.
The
So,
fleet
yeah.
marketing folks, the fleet industry, the marketing guys are really amazing.
Yeah, no, I think the customer experience is better because it's an easier interactive pedestal, experience. But from our end, the data we're getting from that is just phenomenal.
It's easier to manage the use and it's easier for the customers.
Right.
For fueling.
We're reading data from the vehicles when they drive past the pedestal. We're getting diagnostic info.
Wow.
Odometer readings are up to date. We used to be again entering odometer readings, just tons of error.
That's great.
Yeah, really great. So we've also switched last year. We switched to the new AVL provider, Samsara, which is really been a good experience so far. So as we continue in 2024 to develop our technology, the other two requests I had really in this I should have structured this better because my other 3 points don't have new requests with them. It's just good points, but
It's good to end with things,
okay. Right.
points that you're making progress without the need.
yes. So I'd like to. We've had a lot of support. We really appreciate the support of being able to go to Fuel Master and to switch to the Samsara platform and FleetWave 2, which all required startup costs and capital funding for all those things. I want to keep developing that and moving forward. I'd love to. We're still doing some paper and pencil stuff with work orders, which I really just hate. Customers to come in and physically write a ticket. That ticket's getting entered into our FleetWave software by one of our employees. That's printed out on a piece of paper and handed to a technician who handwrites their notes on it, hands it back to our service writer, who types the notes in. It's horrible. It's horrible.
Because their handwriting's so bad, or?
That's part of it. So it's the data entry and the repetitive data entry. It's not efficient.
It's inefficient.
Yeah. So we're trying to transition to a hosted FleetWave platform, which IS has been working with us hand in hand. Mark's been really supportive, but and then ultimately be able to get some tablets for the guys. They already have tablets, but we need a few more to. They can enter the work order data themselves, and we're not doing this whole passing a piece of paper around and retyping the data. We can digitally enter these work orders. The technicians can digitally make their notes, and then we'll have that all in the system already, and then free our staff up to do things other than just retyping things. That's what one of our requests was to help us move to this hosted platform, which is a little bit higher subscription fee than what we're currently
That's
paying.
both the AVL and this.
That's the Chevron FleetWave one. The AVL, as you guys recall, we've had AVLs for 10 years or so. We were with a provider called Axoft for the first 9 years of that. It was only in public works, public service, engineering, fleet, those departments. We had about 200 plus. We switched to a new provider last year called Samsara. Far superior service and cheaper. It's better and cheaper. It's great.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's good.
We were able to fund an expansion. That's some of the savings we realized from that. So we added about 200, almost 300 police units. We're at 750 now. As far as we have 750
So
AVL.
as we add more AVLs, the licensing goes up, like,
Now the licensing doesn't go up, at least it hasn't yet. But if we're going to get the rest of the fleet in AVLs, we need about 400 more.
So really public safety, finishing out public safety
Yeah.
and some of the other vehicles.
Right, of that 400, 250 is KPD, 80's fire, 70's some miscellaneous.
So KPD and police and fire have adopted AVLs, they're just not 100%.
Exactly.
Yeah, we did the mark units first and then the patrol units first. And then
I think
Right,
police is.
because like how we deploy our first responders, how they use their time, how they use the vehicles, that's really, important information for command staff to understand and community members to understand, so, okay, great.
I do think.
And that's a big change, like before, like 2 years ago, or, I don't know, police and fire didn't have AVLs at all, so, thank you for,
That's all been in the past
that.
12 months.
And there's a lot of work. I know Nick and Grant and Chad and others. How do we actually utilize the AVLs even more to make resource allocation decisions, budgeting decisions? So we're using it. It's really good to have, but there's more to
And we
do.
can do more. I'll add, again, a lot of these requests, they're not just for fleet, they have an impact on citywide and across the enterprise. And,
Well, and I'm just thinking, I know Chief Noel and Chief Sharp, probably are happy to, add the AVLs, but might need fleet or IS's support and like how best to utilize that and track it and,
well,
use it as a management tool.
Well, a management tool, but also as a tool for for the end use for our operators. So, for example, snow response, one of the things we're looking at is how can we use AVL for that, but can we use it more, deploy it more in terms of routing, be more efficient, and then also ultimately sharing that information with the public and, understanding where
That'd be amazing.
the brush trucks are.
Right now, yeah.
Exactly. So there's some exciting things that's available to be implemented. It's just a matter of, doubling down on it.
Okay.
So the other three areas I'll try to hit real quickly just because I want to get them in, but our initiatives, number 3 was standardizing our procedures. When I came in, we had really no written policies or procedures of any kind. So we wrote a handbook and established a lot of good policies and procedures for the everyday and basic stuff, requesting leave and all of, we got a big handbook now for that. So now we're looking at developing our procedures in more detail as far as how we actually do the jobs and working on that, standardizing it across our shops. So that's plenty of money for that. We're doing that right. The number 4 was continuing on the Green Fleet. We've really put a lot of effort, which we had the Green Fleet policy adopted in
Yes.
21. We've made a lot of progress in that, Brett. At this moment, 25 electric vehicles in service, 16 renewable propane biofuel vehicles in service, and 11 hybrids.
So 25 EVs, how many propane or?
About 16 vehicles,
And then hybrids?
11. These are on-road vehicles, not including lawnmowers and forklifts and things.
If you take our total fleets, do you have the percentage of, non-traditional fuels and powertrains compared to our gas and diesel?
Yeah, we've got
What percentage are we at? If not, you get it to us.
Yeah, I've got a pie chart actually. We've got a little handout that we made. Some
Okay.
cool
So if it's about a little over 50 alternative fuels or EVs out of a total fleet of how many?
Well, that's on road. There's about 1,000 on road vehicles.
Okay,
Uh,
so we got a little ways to go, but
Still got a
it's
ways to
50 more than we've ever had before.
right.
And a lot of our small engines too. I mean, you look at a lot of our motors and there's a whole lot.
Yeah, if you look at there's 120 golf carts that are all electric. So if you go to that 1,700 number total fleet, that's included 25 lawnmowers that are propane. So there's we broke it down for on road and total. But yeah, I think we had one electric vehicle started. So we've really increased that quite a lot. which I'm really proud of.
Finance has been amazing.
Yes.
Amazing support.
Yeah,
Because they cost.
they do.
Well, just direct pay guidance has been finalized, I saw. So direct pay is basically tax credits for cities under the Inflation Reduction Act. So if there's a 10% additional cost to buy an EV, the federal government, if we qualify, will just send us cut us a check to reimburse us. I mean,
Nick was one of the first ones to provide us some information regarding since you're charged.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna say, yeah, so maybe once we sort out how to get that direct pay, then we won't have to worry about the extra costs.
Even better. Yeah, we're always working on it. I think we have 8 EVs, 13 propane vehicles, and 9 hybrids currently on order and we're waiting to receive.
Okay,
So there's always something in the pipeline.
good.
I want to end on a high note. Our 5th top initiative is investing in our people. The compensation study has been just huge for Fleet. Of our 54 employees, we have 53 positions currently filled at this moment.
Wow,
Yeah, which is amazing.
That's great.
Yeah, the last one's about to post.
that's really fantastic news. I think it's compensation plus a really good culture.
I hope so. Yeah, we certainly had some turnover when I started, which was good. It was good, constructive. And we filled that with a lot of good talent, and really proud of the team we've got. The apprentice program's been wonderful. We've got 11 apprentices that we've been able to bring on all together. We've got a wonderful partnership with our friends at TCAT there, our neighbors at the
Good.
heavy shop.
Is that still going great? Is that your pipeline for?
Yes, we're on the curriculum advisory board for the auto and diesel programs at TCAT.
That's fantastic.
Yes.
A lot of these city kids, I mean, when I look at trying to fill the pipeline, we talked about that with public service, and for a long time there's a lot of rural and people are driving in. How many city kids are we getting?
For the most part, they are city kids. But the thing about TCAT is they have campuses everywhere. We have one apprentice from the Lenore City campus and one apprentice from the Anderson County campus. The other 9 have been from Liberty. We might have one from Sevier County. But
Hey, if they're good and willing to commute, that's fine.
Yeah.
That's fine.
that's our main partnership is the
Liberty
Yep.
Street.
our friends and neighbors at the heavy
I
shop.
guess it's the Knoxville TCAP.
Yes. So they've been wonderful and working with those guys, and that's been that and the compensation stuff has been the silver bullet for us. I know that every department's. I mean, our story may be a little different, but for us, it's just been a complete game changer. So I'm looking forward to 100% here in a couple weeks. We hired this last position, it's the last vacancy, nobody leaves. So yeah, that's I want to really express our gratitude for that. And we've certainly been in those situations where we've had 5, 6, 7 vacancies, and we had to eliminate the second shift at heavy shop at one point because we didn't have enough staff. It really affected operations. That lasted for months.
Yeah. By the way, I know, I think I've mentioned this, but I'll mention it again. I know Fleet worked extra shifts, maybe even round the clock during the snow event. Just, it's like a NASCAR, motorway cruise, just getting those vehicles serviced and back out on the roads for brining and salting and snow plowing. So thank you for that. Please let the folks on the front lines let them know how grateful we are for you going the extra mile when the time came. And this is great news, great progress, and we'll certainly see what we can do about these new requests, and appreciate these 5 areas of continued ambition and aspiration. It's good stuff.
Thank you. Shout out Jeff. Jeff pulled something like 90 hours over that storm
He's
himself.
driving all the
Wow.
That team,
Jeff.
Jeff's team was really.
Any other questions for Carrie and Jeff? All right, well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Y'all have a good rest of the morning.
All right, we will. Engineering out in the hall.
Yes.
Sometimes we start out ahead.
So don't get too excited when we're Yes, it's right in there. Go that way.
just attachments, so it's easier things.
Here,
It says in there.
Wife made it go. Hanging out.
Good morning.
Good morning.
How's everyone doing today? We're very grateful for our stormwater system as we have a lot of rain coming down. And, yes, it's always good to see that. People don't appreciate it always until they see flooding issues. So when I see no flooding, I'm like, oh, it's good stuff. So, all right, let me put my glasses on. All right, Tom, go ahead, please.
All right, thank you. Appreciate the opportunity to speak to you all. The engineering department, want to do some brief introductions.
Please.
I'm Tom Flegel, engineering director. Chris Howling, who's our deputy engineering director. John Fitzpatrick, civil engineer chief. Curtis Williams, chief planning engineer. David Gimley, chief stormwater engineer, and Karen McKeon, transportation chief. Also have Lori, she's out in the back there, Lori Morgan, she's our capital projects technician, so she
Busy woman.
processes all our invoices, payments, reimbursements, which I'm sure voice appreciates getting that money back used
Yeah.
I mentioned this before, but we're very fortunate with this team. We have over 150 years of experience between this team, so I'm very grateful as director, and the city's very fortunate to have that kind of experience in our team.
Absolutely.
We have a few promotions that have happened over the years, just as a brief update, introduction here. Of course, Chris Howley was promoted to deputy director after Steve Keith's retirement. Curtis Williams and filled Chris's old position as engineering planning chief. Then I wanted to mention one other one, he's not here today, but recently we created the Vision Zero coordinator position, and Cody Gentry filled that position, so we're excited to get that program.
Here's already attending community meetings.
Yes.
So it's good. Have we publicly announced that? Did anybody? Are we going to?
We're going to.
Either late this week or early next.
Okay.
They're working. It's
Great.
coming out.
Yeah.
Uh,
That is really good news. It's a big deal. I'm glad we moved forward in the middle of, do the budget amendment to create that position rather than waiting. So,
we're excited to get him up and going. As far as the overall department, we're right at 100 employees now. Broken up in these 4 divisions. I'm gonna let each chief just give just a brief couple of highlights from their division. So,
okay.
Curtis, if you want to start with that.
Sure. As some of you may know, there's quite a bit of things going on in engineering development services. We've been working recently to fulfill some of the matrix recommendations. Recently, we worked on the right-of-way flow process to simplify that, so now the city doesn't have to go through planning review. And we've also simplified the need for plats when it comes to residential type development. So those are some recent changes that we've made. We're in the process right now of interviewing for a technician position. Actually, we're looking at 2 vacancies in the technician level position. So we're currently interviewing candidates for those. We also have recently.
What is a technician's job?
The technician's job, it's kind of multifaceted. We have different roles that we put that particular position in, but the ones that we're hiring now, one will be in the technical services area, which they manage a lot of the records and that sort of thing. And then we've also got another technician that we're looking at hiring into the hybrid construction inspector / plan computer position. So,
And these are jobs, there's a career path, so you might start out as a technician level 1 and end up doing other things,
Yes.
moving up.
yes, there is a promotional path within that role. We're also, we just recently hired 2 engineers to do plans review, so that's training is going on for that movement. We're currently, we've seen quite a bit of increase in plans reviews in the last couple of years. 2022, we had 3,100 reviews, and now in 2023, we ended up with a little over 3,700 reviews. So quite a bit of increase there just in a year. So we are continuing to see development demands trending up. We're working on cross-training staff, as we discussed. There's folks that we're trying to train that are not only just field inspectors, but to try to do other roles in the department, including plant review, and kind of help meet some of the demands that we have there.
And I will say, one of the themes you're going to hear today is recruitment and retention, and we've been challenged with that. One of the positive things that's come out of that is we've taken a hard look at our organizational structure, what duties people are performing, and it's given us an opportunity to try to figure out where we can
Reclassify.
or even retrain to assign additional duties, just like this hybrid inspector. So those folks were typically just doing field inspections, but we have this need for, especially residential permit reviews, that they can, with some training, feel that. So we've kind of flexed in that area. I think in transportation, we've looked at some reorganization to try to better define roles. So it's made us take a hard look at how we're doing things. And so that's a good thing overall. We are grateful for the additional positions in Curtis's group, and we've actually been pretty successful with engineers getting those filled. So we're in this training process now. So.
We added, in the budget amendment, how many new positions?
We had
4, 3?
We added an additional engineering position. One was to backfill my vacancy, but then another one was a new position that was created, and we created a new technician.
And as I recall, some of those we paid for through increased revenues through the
Right.
fees have been adjusted to reflect the cost of things. So,
And there was a vision 0 for the engineering.
right.
Right. So next, I'll let Karen speak a little about transportation.
Sure, so the transportation division, we have 35 positions. We currently have 4 vacancies. We're missing 2 kind of mid to upper level engineers, and we have a vacancy as a transportation controls manager, and then a technician vacancy that was just created by Cody Gentry's promotion to Division 0 coordinator.
So how many total vacancies?
4. So in transportation, our focus is really on 3 things. First being safety, which obviously we are excited about the city's Vision Zero initiative, and we are happy to have Cody promoted to that brand new position. We're also excited that the city received a $8 million federal award from Safe Streets for All. So we're working on getting that going and actually working on applying for next year's funding.
Oh, good.
So,
I saw that was the notice went out, so we have more needs, so.
so we're gonna keep at it. So safety is our number 1 priority. Customer service is also a big part of our job. I asked my folks for numbers, and I was actually surprised that last year our team fielded over 6,800 requests. Those are anything related to signals, streetlights, parking, sign requests, marking requests. We have a lot of interaction with our citizenry, with our council members, with other departments within the city. Customer service is a main focus for us.
Right. It is something, I mean, people are very worried about signals, potholes, paving, and occasionally they compliment us when we get ahead of things, but sometimes, we get feedback about, perceived needs or real needs of services. So I appreciate everybody responding so well.
Yeah.
Even if the news is like, we're gonna get to this next year, so, or whatever it is. Sometimes we don't always get to say, we're gonna fix this tomorrow, as much as we like to. So.
And then lastly, our focus is on asset management. So my team maintains all of our signalized intersections. We have 400 of those in the city. We have over 30,000 streetlights, 9,500 poles. Those could be poles for streetlights or poles for traffic signals. And then we have roughly 50,000 signs. So
Wow, that's a lot
between
of
customer
assets.
service, asset management, we're very busy.
That is a lot. All right, well, good report, good update, and, you know, we'll hopefully be able to fill those vacancies soon.
And next, David's going to speak a little bit about stormwater.
Currently, the biggest thing we have going on is the ARC grants and all the projects that are associated with that. We have 10 projects and approximately $15 million that we're budgeted to spend over the next 2 years. Included in that is the Loves Creek hydrology study, which is Chiley Park and Mullins Warehouse, Burkhart Quarry, that area, subsurface hydrology there.
So this is it 15 million, or I thought it was,
It's 23 million.
23 million.
We got 8, so we have approximately 15 million.
okay, so 23 million total, but KUB does some stormwater.
KUB with their wastewater treatment plant is a big portion of that.
15 million for city stormwater, okay. Loves Creek and Chilhowie.
It's Chiley Park and Mullins Warehouse, Burkhart Quarry, the subsurface hydrology there. See how that's going to be handled. They're looking to be done with that. There's also a B&P park, so it's an educational park to show the public what different types of B&Ps there may be to handle.
What does
stormwater.
BMT mean?
Best management practice.
Oh, B.
Yes, ma'am. You're aware of our asset management too. We're going out and surveying all of our assets. As of last week, we had a meeting with them. We feel like we're going to have more assets than what we originally anticipated. So you're probably going to see a change order come through council for that. So we're going to have another 10 to 20,000 assets that we didn't anticipate. So those are going to
10 to 20,000 like pipes or?
pipes, catch basins, manholes, culverts, all of those things. And as the reports keep coming back, we're seeing 5% of our system is failed or failing. Another 5% is probably poor, and 30 to 40% of our system is impaired. So as those assets age in the next 10 years, that's going to be critical.
So the types of assets include pipes, catch basins, culverts, what was it?
Manholes.
Manholes. And they're old. What's the oldest kind of stuff, like over 100 years old?
A lot of the track plays were over 100 years old. Most of that's downtown.
That's the easy place to work, right? There's no other things
Easiest, of
going
course.
on.
That's why we serve Dave that first.
We can close more roads.
It's one way to pedestrianize things.
Slows
Do
traffic.
construction.
Let's not close it because of
Yeah, wow, okay.
There's also 3 stream restoration projects, Mary Vestal Park and Rock City Park. They both have sloping banks. And then Holston River Park is a design project that is not funded through a grant to construct, but we will have a design for it.
What was it, so Mary Vestal Park, Rock City Park?
Rock City Ballpark.
Rock City Ballpark, what is that?
Rock City is mostly, one side's in the county, one side's in the city.
It's in Rocky Hill?
No.
South Mountain.
Rock City, okay, I don't know that.
Back to James Webb Parkway, it's just south of the fire hall, you know where that is.
Oh, I know where the fire hall is.
The baseball fields.
Oh, yeah.
Area, the creek runs between James Webb Parkway and those small fields.
Okay. Okay, so this is stream restoration, like,
Bank stabilization, where the banks are sloping and failing. And we stabilize those to keep sediment deposited in the creek. We have a couple of general civil projects in Long Drive and Cherry Street, trying to reduce flooding there. And we have one vacancy right now created through David Hickman's retirement, where he's going to be gone in July.
Then last, we've got Sean's speak a little bit about civil.
So the civil division, our prime responsibility is development of capital projects, for construction.
We've got 27 positions for that work, 5 vacancies right now. The group is broken up into 4 divisions, or 4 sections. There's the design group, we have a survey team, we have an inspection group, and then we have the staff that does writing position for projects. Looking through last year, that staff put out 20 construction projects, about $29.5 million worth of work. There's 37 projects that it's in design development right now, so it's either under design or in rival position. To do all that, we do in-house projects, in-house designs, and then we have 33 open professional service contracts.
33.
So that's design, CEI work, or rival position.
What's CEI? Construction Engineering
Inspection. And so our goal for this year, we're migrating to some new design software, we're going through training right now. The intent of that is to be able to do more in-house designs, focusing on sidewalks, greenways, and intersections and that process.
Just a quick question, Tom, maybe, or just, it seems like so many of our projects involve all the engineering divisions. Like, so, let's say, the improvements that are coming on the Safe Streets for All on Broadway, I mean, there's right-of-way acquisition. I mean, I guess it doesn't involve development services so much, but there's stormwater elements, it's about transportation. So, does transportation take the lead, but it's also, but there's sidewalks and that takes to be constructed, so that's civil. Obviously, there's stormwater elements, so who's it?
And we definitely collaborate on all these projects,
Yeah.
but typically we look at capacity, and so sometimes, I'll be honest with you, historically, civil handled a lot of those capital type projects, but with the staffing issues we've got, so those are shifted over to Karen's group, John Livengood managing several of those.
Okay.
So it's really finding who has the capacity to handle that project.
So there's some people doing right away in the transportation division, maybe even
Well, the right away typically, we've got Chris Woodburn and Tina Newman.
He does it for every.
And they do it for all, yeah. But with all these, there's a collaboration between teams.
Well, I've learned a little bit more about the complexity of just constructing a sidewalk or maintaining a greenway or building a new one. I mean, from a layperson's perspective, people have no idea how much work it takes to do it. So anyhow, good job. I'm trying to follow wherever the capacity is. But yeah, I hope we can fill those vacancies. So I'm sure you're going to talk about that.
And that's really the next thing on my list here. And one thing you heard, I think right now we have 12 vacancies total.
Out of 100.
So we're really struggling with that professional engineer level.
And the main is because of the competition of the private sector.
It is.
They're not unhappy working here, they just can make a lot more money.
And we've lost several folks to that, pretty significant pay increases. I am very grateful that HR and finance were working with us, trying to work through those salary issues, position issues. So I feel like we've got a good plan moving forward. We're going to be able to address that, but it's been a challenge.
Mayor, as you know, the compensation package that you worked with HR and council on was highly successful. There were really those two areas, these kind of surgical locations and engineering. And then we're going to talk a little bit about some entry level on police. But I think HR's got a good plan that will probably get you where you need to be. It's just taking a little time to do the analytics on it.
Okay.
So as we move into these requests, we've got 7 total requests. You're going to see some of those are helping us deal with this society of staffing issues, so some staff augmentation, that kind of thing. So we'd like to just go ahead and discuss those. Some of these first slide are operating requests. First in your package should be business zero coordinator equipment. So we got the position funded. We got a vehicle for that position, but we need a laptop, some money for training, we'd like to be able to send out some conferences to kind of network. So this request is kind of to fill that get them properly equipped and trained.
Okay.
Next, the permit efficiency program, $170,000. So we, in our engineering development services, we've been able to hire these new engineers. We're getting those folks trained. It's going to that process just takes a little time. What we'd like to do with this funding is look at an on-call consultant program. So we'd be looking to hire 3 consultants that are on call. So it's really twofold for this idea. The first would be to help us do some staff augmentation. So they're doing some permit reviews to help knock down the peaks as we have those, and we'll get folks properly trained. The second, I think, just as exciting to me is establishing a program where as folks are submitting permits, if they want to pay an additional fee, we can expedite that permit. So we would use those folks.
Is that one of the matrix recommendations?
It is. And so this program would help us initiate that process. We have 3 consultants on call, and if you come in with a permit and you want to pay the fee, we can send you straight to those folks. So I'm excited. I think that'll be very helpful, especially with larger projects.
Yeah, where they also have deep pockets and they want to go as fast as possible. So this would be like, they'd be like on retainer, like you might,
We said it's almost like signing work orders. And so we're doing that now with a consultant, with the permit reviews.
Do we have a fund, like a line item for this kind of thing already? Consulting
professional
services. Yeah,
professional services, but they need more.
Yeah.
I see, okay.
Is this an addition to the contract labor you got now? Okay.
Yes.
And how long do you think this will be in place? I know some of it's just volume and demand.
I think the size of this request would go down, but honestly, I think this will be an ongoing program. I think
unless you add headcount,
developers will be happy to pay that.
Okay.
I think it's kind of self-funding though, fee. So, and not to mention, I think with our fee structure now, that we should be able to help offset some of this cost, even for that in-house help we're getting. So, next, staff augmentation transportation, $350,000. So we have a consultant that's coming in. We have as we said, the issue has been with that kind of middle level type engineers, so the professional engineering level that we're kind of struggling from. We've got a couple of entry level engineers that we're mentoring, so we're using the current contract we have to help mentor those folks, also shoulder some of those requests that we have. So this would be a continuation of that. The current contract we have is 10 hours a week. This request is for 20 hours a week, so it's half time over the next fiscal year. And that's $200,000 of that request is just for that staff augmentation. Obviously, if we're able to hire folks, that need could go down. I will say.
We need the help right now.
Yeah.
And even if we we're hiring senior people,
That's tough.
probably even harder.
Yeah. And we do have one of our entry level, Jonathan's getting ready to set for his PE, so we're training these folks up. So it's something that might be where we're at. The other piece of that, part of what we were able to do previously with senior engineers was signal timing plans. So looking at corridors and looking at signal timing, and we just can't do that right now. And so this request, it costs about $5,000 an intersection to re-time signals. So we're looking at an opportunity to look at some corridors.
I'm allergic to red lights, I want these green lights. You know, it's better for the, you know, the idling engines are bad for air quality, right? So I love that idea, we'll see. Thank you.
So that's the other piece of that is that it would just give us an opportunity to look to hire a consultant to look at some of these corridors. I think Kingston Pike or Broadway would be two of those that are high on the list as far as getting things retimed to try to be as efficient.
And even though those are state routes, we have authority to do all the lights.
We have,
So all the signals are ours, and we, you know, it seems like we have a lot of the obligations and not a lot of the authority. Is that sort of how TDOT
I'll
rolls?
see.
I did have a great meeting with Commissioner Bacilli earlier this week, so, you know, I think they're just good to build those relationships with TDOT, especially in Nashville.
Next, staff augmentation for civil engineering. That's really a continuation of what we've been doing now. We've got a consultant that's coming in doing in-house training on our software. And I think sometimes you gotta take a step back, invest in folks, get them trained. It might slow down production for a little bit, but the long-term benefit is going to be huge. And so
I'm
this
really
would
supportive
continue
of that.
that relationship.
Well, and also, I mean, we're just having so much growth in Knoxville, whether it's, you know, just new buildings or just increased transportation needs. And it's hard, and I think makes sense to not just staff up like crazy. I mean, we have vacancies for one, like we don't want to add positions when we have vacancies, but we don't know if we need permanent new positions or is this more of a surge, is this, you know, so, okay.
And I will add, this staff augmentation request, something that I became very sensitive to. We need to make sure we're not overworking the folks who we have. But as folks leave, those duties, all these requests go to somebody.
Yeah.
So I'm very sensitive to that.
Right.
And this helps offset some of that, so the work can get done, but we're not overworking.
Right. I don't want to overwork people and also like have them leave to go work for the consultants that then we're hiring. Like, so, you know, let's just, you know, I'm glad you're being sensitive to that.
The last one here on operating is professional services, regulatory updates. I'll let Curtis speak a little bit. He's got all his binders.
That's right. So yes, this is the land development manual and the BMP manual. The land development is about 300 and some pages. BMP manual is a little over 500 and some pages. So we have several ordinances. We have several publications that we use. A lot of our publications are fairly old. Some of these are greater than 20 years old and have had minimal updates over the years. We tried to tackle these several years ago, and unfortunately, we weren't able to do it because of the demands of development permitting and that sort of stuff. We couldn't really spend the time that we needed on this. So what we were hoping to do would be to engage a couple of different consultants to help us. We would like to find someone who is familiar with local regulations and working within the city and kind of our goals, but also maybe reach out to someone who has had experience in other communities, other similar cities, see how they're approaching the development trends in their community, and bring that, you know, some of that knowledge into.
Right, and also just hopefully remove things that are redundant or just inefficient or, you know, were designed for the needs of 1985 or just didn't even anticipate, you know, whatever.
Yeah, that's a great point. A lot of our development trends in 85 and maybe through the 90s were very greenfield oriented. Now we're in the process of redeveloping nearly all of our sites. So yeah, we don't have greenfield sites anymore.
And we want to make it easy for people to develop in the city because, you know, that does protect the green space outside the city.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
So, well, that sounds good. I'm sure there are entities that do that, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And would this require, is this all sort of internal stuff or some of it would require ordinance changes?
The last 2 year personnel requests, very excited about this next one, engineering student internship. So as we're talking about recruitment, we've been over backwards trying to reach out. We've got UT right here in the back door, and we just need to better establish a relationship. So we've been attending their career fairs and that type of thing. This is another effort to reach out to UT or Tennessee Tech, and essentially what we're asking for is a student intern for each of the divisions, so 4 total. And it would be we're talking about half part-time, 6 months of the fiscal year for these 4 students. But it would be either the co-op program or summer internship program.
Have we done this before?
So, well, I'll say not in recent history. We did.
So these would be our current engineering students in their 3rd, 4th, or is it a 5-year thing?
It could be.
Okay, and then they would be working for us and getting credit for the work, or?
No, it's really just for the job experience.
Okay.
In my mind, it's kind of a long-term interview. We can establish a relationship with them, we can train them, and if they're getting ready to graduate, we have a spot for them. So
it does cut down on their, if they're trying to gain their PE, it does cut down on their time to get their PE, so they can.
Oh, okay, because you need a certain amount of hands-on
Yeah,
experience.
you have to have 4 years of work experience.
Okay.
But
So we hire
also,
people without their PEs, but do work toward, like, this Jonathan guy is one of an example. We do that happens all the time.
Yeah, and typically the process for an entry level, there's an engineering intern certification, so there's a process, you get that, and then after a certain amount of experience, you get set for a PE exam and get licensed as PE. So typically everybody new out of school has that EI and they're at that entry level position. I think it's a great opportunity to get our name out there, even if it's not that student. They can talk to their friends about, hey, see, now it's a great place to work, and so it's a great opportunity to outreach, to try to open up those doors for UT or other.
And you'll have the capacity to, I know taking on interns, usually, it is an investment in the future.
It
It
is.
also means, if you want to make it a good experience, someone has to make sure it's a good experience.
And we've talked about what that will look like. Yeah, we're definitely interested in investing time in those things.
So, Tom, we have the Baker Center program that we continually have 2 to 3 interns enroll in, Baker Center fellows. So for the over 100,000, how many does that get continuously working in your department?
Just what we had in mind was 1 intern for each division, but it could end up.
Per year?
Yeah. And that's we'll figure 6 months out of the year, and it could be a summer. If we get a co-op student, they alternate semesters.
Okay.
And then it could shift that, you have 2 interns in 1 division and none of that. We want to be flexible with that.
Right.
I think it's just a good opportunity to tap into.
Are private sector employers doing this?
They are, and KUB is as well.
What we're hearing oftentimes at job fairs is the senior students already have jobs lined up.
They do their
They've done
internship.
and or they're going to work for a place where their friend works.
Right.
So we're trying to solve a long-term need with this
Yeah.
program.
We have had students reach out to us and ask, do you have an intern program? We would really be interested in interns with the city. And right now we don't have that program to offer, but we have indicated that we're looking into that type of a program, and we kind of kept a log of those folks so that we can reach back out to. I think I even talked to a fella that he might have planted trees with a couple of weekends ago that was interested.
He wants to come to that,
Chris, I would ask you to work with finance, like wholesale, every division. If you had an intern you wanted to have this summer, you're higher lag, there's a way to do that with finance. And so if you want to have an intern this summer, if you want to have some onesie twosies, that's totally within the capacity. And I know Kitron and Natalie would be more than willing to work with you on that.
Yeah, we don't want to turn anybody away.
You've got 9 unfilled positions. There is some higher lag resources.
Okay.
If you're paying somebody $20 an hour for 10 weeks, like my guess is you can get that all day long. So Be
Come
creative.
down, we look at it.
Yeah.
Can you? budget?
Can we do it?
Yeah. And I don't know,
But ask.
because we're having to increase starting pay above what we already done, just because of the situation.
And we are on the separate track working with HR that can create this, some brand new position. So we're creating that position.
Yeah, we need a higher level intern. Right now, our intern system is not really geared for folks that have the technical capacity.
Okay.
Then the last one here, parking overtime increase. And it's really about establishing an overtime budget for parking. We've looked at that.
Tell me exactly what this means. I've had a lot of discussions about parking recently. So what does it mean from an engineering perspective, overtime request for parking?
So the parking folks, not to speak this better than me, but the parking folks right now have some overtime with meter requests or bagging meters. Folks are reserving on-street parking spaces.
Street closures, special events, right?
events.
A lot of special events.
And so those are, I guess it's a separate fund, parking, and
Do we, for events that are not like city events, but like outside entities, we charge them for,
We're starting to, yes.
I mean, if there's like a, like whatever festival celebrating
5Ks, races.
beer and wings or whatever, I mean, like,
Not for
it's
beer.
okay for. I mean, I think it's okay
Same-time
to.
contribution.
Anyhow, well, I mean, I'd welcome,
Fee schedule for that.
Yes.
just a fee schedule just to help recoup our costs, but and then that can help cover, I mean, I've encountered, I think people in the, engineering parking systems crew, and they'll be out working weekends and evenings, and I'll see them, I think that, some fees would be worth considering in that.
We're revising our special events guide to reflect that.
Yeah.
Also, KVD overtime, KVD's in a similar situation there, overtime there.
There's no such thing as a free lunch,
Well, we started enforcing that fee last year probably, but it's usually the first thing that gets cut when they say they can't afford to do those things. So we end up kind of sponsoring that event, and that's our gift to their event. But also think about every weekend when we close the footprint for Market Square for the farmers market.
Yeah.
So there's,
Yeah.
every weekend we have a crew out there that's on call. Flagging meters, signing meters, unbagging meters, unsigning meters. So it happens every weekend.
Yeah, what if we just close it to,
Yeah.
all right, okay. Well, good summary of requests, and you guys have been incredibly busy, and that's a positive thing. So thanks for all the hard work and openness to innovation and change and automation and digitization, and there's a lot of innovation. It can be exhausting, so thanks for recognizing that we don't want to burn people out. So I think having outside help to deal with these things is very beneficial while we build up our team. We can't just look at what's going to help us the next 6 months or what's going to help us the next 6 to 16 years and beyond. So I appreciate the long-term outlook.
Okay.
Anything else? Any other questions? Okay, thank you.
all.
Appreciate it. All right. All right, if you want to start, just, we have, I always appreciate starting with introductions.
I brought in Catherine Strickland, she's our admin tech. I brought in Timothy Markham, who's our newly elevated deputy director, who's managing the building and trades group, versus Brian Berry, who's hung up in another meeting, who manages our admin folks in town. And so, our requests are.
Grant didn't tell you that all ops are supposed to wear checked.
Yes.
I'm just kidding.
You got it covered in my
You got a check shirt.
Yes,
You have a check vest.
I got the vest.
Yeah. And women, we can wear whatever.
So our requests are very simple. The state requires us to be within 7 years of the most current edition of the building codes. The most current edition is now the 2024 code. We're currently on the 18 code, so we're getting towards the end. So we are committing this year to bring ourselves up to speed on the 24 edition of the codes. Brought a group of 4 out of town last week for a full week of training.
Are there a lot of changes?
Yeah. Well, not as many as going to the 18. The bulk of them are accessibility issues, but it does help us. And when we went to the 18, there was a big seismic thing for building people. It was a big deal. They've updated that. There's a lot of nuance, so it's good for us. We plan to have outreach to our customers this summer, early fall, bring them up to speed as to.
So this is pretty much a necessity.
It is.
Like by state law.
Yeah. We're already telling folks to, for large seismic projects, be prepared to be reviewed under the 24 code. So with that being said, International Code Council has a monopoly on code books, and they're expensive. And so we need to have a complete set for each one of our field inspectors and plans examiners, just so that they're educated and aware.
So you just brought up this, obviously what you know is coming. How do we make sure that the development community is aware of it, feels like they have that information? That to me is super critical.
Okay.
If there's a change in what they will be designing to.
And also let them know that this is not like a city of Knoxville-led change, that this is the state requirement. So how are you managing that?
So here's what we did for 18. We hosted 2 events, one during the day, one during the evening, where I had my chief level folks, my managers, come in and provide a PowerPoint presentation to the various groups. We actually did one per night. We did building one night, electrical the next night, plumbing the next night, mechanical the final night. And that way the various trade groups could come, developers could come, and they could see our presentation, ask questions, and because we're doing our legwork on the front end, we can be educated and answer questions.
So how did that, do you think it was, that number of meetings was sufficient in 2018?
I definitely would want you to give a grant at comms and make sure we get that all out.
Oh, yeah.
And when does the new code? January 1, 25. Okay. So we're less than a year.
I had a meeting with the Developers Roundtable Executive Committee yesterday morning. We talked about this very thing, and it's something we'll talk about at the full Developer Roundtable, but also we reached out to, we're gonna reach out this year and do a lot of outreach with the Home Builders Association, the various trade organizations, so some subcontractor trade works, civil engineers.
Well, more work on the front end might save us some pain.
But generally more outreach, not just for this code, but also updating our overall development services improvements and just communicating that out. Fee schedule changes, all those things.
Okay, so we need new code books.
These are digital too.
You can have digital or paper.
But you have to pay for the digital subscription.
Yeah.
Is it either or is it both?
It's either one.
Is it cheaper to do digital, just all digital?
Same price.
Are we doing all digital or are we doing?
We give folks
The choice. Then we give each inspector the choice. That's mentioned.
Field folks.
A lot of the field folks like the hard copy because they'll make notes in there. And when they're helping folks out in the field, they can
It also, it seems more, tangible and it's like, look at this book, it's right in here. So.
You can't buy one and just make a bunch of photocopies.
I'm going to do that. Actually, no, they had a Walmart call. So they got wise on all of our.
I think we're gonna get around that.
Sorry.
All right, let's move on to the Avero request.
Avero. So we started with Avero, and I'm really pleased with them. If Mark Parker were here, I think he would agree. Not only are they helping us work through the issues that everybody's experiencing, but they also have some subject matter experts that really, I'm impressed with what they know about our software. And this request is a continuation of these relationships and subcontracting to get us through next year.
So this is in addition to ongoing contracts or the contracts we have now, just
an
continue
extension. This is the next phase of,
Phase 2.
yeah, we funded phases 1 and 2 through the budget amendment. This is phases 3 and 4.
And I assume, I know Avero's working with your department, but they're also working with KPD, so like, I don't know, if it makes sense to do a consolidated contract, we're doing that. If maybe it makes sense to keep them separate, I don't know.
I think it's separate contracts because they're separate deliverables, but it is coordinated.
Okay.
And they're helping us, they're helping advise us on some other stuff that's quite frankly not even in the contract, but they're just providing some good advice on and technical assistance, so.
Okay, good. I'm glad to hear
It's
it's
good.
going well, because that hasn't always been the case.
We should move to the cloud
Software.
tomorrow afternoon, 5 p.m. All of our Acela software is moving into the cloud, and that'll be back up and running Monday morning. That's a big deal
Yeah.
in terms of how we go forward.
That's what people submit.
It's our overall enterprise.
So-
It's not just Plans Review, it's every department that uses Excel. Well, not every, but most departments.
Yeah, and the benefits of going in the cloud is it keeps us up to date. We don't have the stoppages or
The risk is managed better. It's a third-party risk with multiple redundant backups if there's a failure in the system.
Our consultants are better positioned to help too, because they don't have to access our servers.
How's your staffing levels?
We are doing well. We hired 5. 4 of them are on board already. We have 1 vacancy still on the building side. But honestly, for some reason, we've hired some really solid folks, and
Good job.
I attribute it to the team. That I think we have a really good culture where the folks coming in, they see the opportunities, they see where we promote education and learning. And so we've got one of the newer guys out in Colorado this week because he came with some background in construction, but within a month or two, he's realized, wow, I really need to dive into these codes. And so we sent him out to Colorado with the seasoned inspector, and the benefits there are just phenomenal. They come back just overwhelmed. But overall, it's a young group, still green, still learning, still stubborn at times. But I think we've got a totally different attitude than 10 years ago when things were different.
Yeah. Okay. Well, a good positive culture, we get them in with, hopefully competitive salaries and good benefits, but they only stay if it's a good working culture. So that's hard to establish. So thank you for making that change, or continuing to support a positive culture. The breakfast, the investment, the career paths. That's all good stuff. So
I feel like this next fiscal year, you're gonna hear a different story about development services. So.
hallelujah. Let's hope that may it be so.
Let's deliver.
That would be great. I know it's just been an intense time of investment in our city. So some of it's been sort of, what's the metaphor people use? We're building the plane as we go down the runway.
It's in here.
And it's in the air.
Archery.
So, people sometimes don't understand we can't just stop everything and focus on improving our systems. We also have to keep the permits going and inspections going. So it has been a lot, but it sounds like we're turning a corner with good leadership, good management, help from Avero, compensation study, all that stuff. So
now that we've got the new folks on board and they're starting to be somewhat productive, they're not clipping along at 100%, we can pull our plans examiners back into the office and we can really focus on plans review because we've got this log jam that's tough to get rid of.
I also want to point out, we have this long jam in plans review, and that's been a lot of frustration. We've continued to maintain a 24 turnaround on our inspections. That's a really big deal. Not other municipalities aren't meeting that.
24-hour, what is it?
Next day.
Next day inspections. We're doing inspections. We're maintaining that level of service on timeliness of inspections. That can have an even greater impact on a construction project. and other municipalities aren't meeting that.
That's amazing, I didn't know that.
But we're doing it at the expense of our plans, so our plans reviewers are being pulled in the field to help.
Instead of robbing Peter to pay Paul.
We are, I just want to point that out, that we are, like, there's things that we are doing very well, and that's on the inspection side, and it's just, our
But
plans
we're gonna,
process is suffering.
because of the,
So we've hired more inspectors, we haven't hired more plans reviewers, we hired more inspectors, so our plans reviewers can.
go back to doing plans review.
If you walk over there today, you're gonna see 3 people with their heads buried in their computer. We're currently at 3 weeks straight before our plans examiner hasn't had to go out to the field, which is phenomenal. We haven't done 3 weeks straight in years.
Wow.
So those plans examiners are able to stay in, and numbers are dropping quickly in those 3
Because they can
weeks.
do their job.
Because they can do what they're assigned to. Absolutely.
Because we can't sacrifice, I mean, I don't want to sacrifice anything, but we really can't sacrifice that turnaround. And you talk to the development community, you're out pouring footers or whatever, you're out doing projects, you can't afford to delay multiple days
Because
on
then you
doing
have
an
bad
inspection.
weather or whatever, yeah.
Well, it's a big problem, so we're doing a good,
Good,
doing
that's,
good work on
that's
that.
great, it sounds like, things are going better than they have been for a few years, and really, that's good news. And I think the development, let's share those good news stories with our development community when we can, and with council, of course, too, so. All right, well, nice to have a succinct budget request, and they seem like pretty essential things, so hopefully we'll be able to find them. Thank you. Any other questions for Peter and the team? All right.
Yeah, I mentioned a lot of these requests too should be offset by our increase in fees.
Fantastic.
So it should be the general fund. The general fund.
Those are my favorite kinds of things. Thank you. Keep up the good work. Appreciate it. Thanks.
Here's my resume.
Good morning, Isaac. How are you?
I was gonna say one. How that zoning fits in zoning.
Oh, Councilman Roberto, thank you for being here. I didn't say hello, I think I was out in the hallway when you came in.
No, you're fine. I was here, I snuck in when you were talking to engineer.
All right, do we think we should pause for a minute before we start, so we're not too far ahead of schedule?
What do you think, Kitcher?
I was just getting ready to text
12 minutes ahead.
Kristen and Charles and tell them we're running a little bit ahead.
Move forward then.
Yeah, it's, okay. All right, well, Isaac, please go ahead, it's nice to see you, and please introduce us to the rest of your team.
So this is Pat Downs, she's our new Chief Administrative Officer. She has been here exactly 3 days.
I was gonna say, I don't think I've ever, your name is Pat Young?
Pat Downs.
Downs, okay.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about yourself, where are you coming from before this?
Well, I'm coming from Texas, but I have over 20+ years in transit. Started in Nashville, Tennessee with the Metropolitan Transit Authority. Transferred to Atlanta, worked with the State Road and Tollway Authority, then GDOT. I then transitioned to Alabama with their transit authority, and then after that became a lead reviewer for FTA on triennial state and national reviews.
Bless you.
Yeah, that's a lot of great, very relevant experience. So, welcome. We're
Thank you.
glad to have you, and we're glad to. We're looking forward to your leadership and your position as
Chief Administrative Officer.
CAO, Chief Administrative Officer. Okay.
And this is Tony Pierce, he's our Grants and Finance Manager. Tony's been with us since September.
Yep.
Okay, you got some new members of the team.
Exactly.
So, Tony, are you from Knoxville, or are you coming here from out of state?
So I moved here in 2020 to Knoxville. Before this,
Totally normal year.
yeah, it was so easy. There was no traffic or anything to move here. But
where'd you move here from?
Moved here from Florida. I'm originally from Minnesota though. Before I was at CAT, I was the director of finance at Union Hospital. So there I worked with Allison and everyone, and I'm here now, budgeting and finance at CAT.
Well, CAT's budget has a lot of grants and grant applications, and I think federal grants obviously in particular fund a significant chunk of operations and capital. So it's a very important role both of you have. So welcome to the team, and welcome to the city of Knoxville. Especially, you really just came here a couple of days ago, so glad to have you both. Isaac.
So we just have two budget requests. I do want to state we've been very successful last year addressing our workforce shortage. We're up to 180 operators. It's probably the highest number we've been at since 2018. Our goal is to get to 200 to 215. The reason why we're adding service back, and we're going to get back to the pre-COVID levels in April, is because we've been so successful addressing the workforce shortage. And then also, in a few short months, we'll be launching CAT Reimagine, which is a totally redesigned bus network that's going to have frequency and better on-time performance. So that's our goal, is to get our staffing levels to a position where we can make that and be successful in CAT Reimagine, adding service back in next month. So our requests are basically adding 2.5% for wages and benefits, which we are kind of obligated to through the collective bargaining agreement that we agreed to, and also to better support our bus operators when we get to 200 to 215, adding additional 5 operations supervisors so that we can support them and ensure that we meet our on-time performance. So those are our 2 requests, and thank you for considering those. Thank you for support for Knoxville Transit. That concludes my remarks.
Thank you, and obviously, contractual obligation, that sounds like that's a must fund, not a lot of discretion on that one. But tell me a little bit about, what is the starting salary for an operator? And is it 12.5% for all employees? Is it for the mechanics?
That's for the 3-year contract we agreed to. So right now, this year, it's 2% increase, next year's 2% increase, and then starting in January 2025, we go back to the contract negotiations for 26, 27.
Okay.
So this year it's 2.5, it's 2% increase. Next year.
Is that for all employees?
Just our collective bargaining employees, so maintenance, frontline maintenance personnel, those operators.
But that is most employees.
Most of our employees are.
And how many total employees?
So we have about 350, I want to say, when we're fully staffed. So yeah, majority of those are unemployed.
Like at least 300.
Yeah.
And so now that the raises have been, have been approved by the negotiations and implemented, and more to come, staffing's going okay.
So our
for
starting,
mechanics as well as operators.
Our starting wage, our salary, or per hour wage for operations is $18.30. I think it goes up by 2.5% or 2% in July. I can't remember off the top of my head, but right now it's $18.30. They top out around $25.50 an hour for bus operators. Maintenance starts at around $24 for a steam mechanic, and then they top out around $20 an hour. So
that's pretty very high skilled.
And we're pretty much in line with those amounts with other agencies and state, regionally as well. So, well, we did have to address that in the last contract to make sure we're competitive.
Right. Well, that's really good news that the new better compensation is doing what we wanted it to do, which is attracting and retaining people. Good. Well, I'm really excited about CAT Reimagine. I know it's been a long process. I know Council, Vice Mayor Smith has been on the CAT board and still is.
He is no longer.
Who is on there now?
Debbie.
Oh, Debbie Helston. Okay, okay. Well, that's good to know, and we'll look forward to seeing that implemented and hopefully achieving the goals of that more better balance between ridership and coverage, especially with the focus on equity and getting people to jobs. So there's no shortage of people who want a bus stop at their house to take them to their specific destination. So I know there's been a lot of study on that and community input. I think the final balance is a good one. I can't wait to see it deployed.
Yeah, we're realigning our bus stops. We have many of them. We're trying to realign them to more standard in transit of quarter mile spacing. Some areas you just can't do that because of the hills and whatnot and where we live at. But we're really trying to align that and make sure that our service is on time and good. So I think that's what.
And also, like, if we have more standardized spacing of stops, then we can make sure, the stops have,
better
shelter, better amenities, or at least a place to stand out of the way of motorized traffic.
Whether it be a small bench or an actual shelter, and making sure that they're ADA compliant. That's the goal. And we're still moving along with that. We have additional funding, including more bus stop improvements. So it's been great. I'm excited. I'm excited for next month too, when we get back to more pre-COVID levels. That starts April 15th or 14th, our new service.
I think that, yeah, I've occasionally been caught off guard that certain routes weren't operating until later in the day and stuff like that. So I'll look forward to that too. And I think the digital, what do we call the digital?
Mobile ticketing.
Mobile ticketing. How's that been, the take up on
It's
that?
been great. People have really latched on to that. We've had over 1,600 people create an account for mobile ticketing, which surpasses what we thought it was going to be, and more people are going to it. And then our next phase of that is launching smart cards for people that are unbanked. We'll be given a smart card and they can load that up with cash.
So there won't be the need to collect cash on the bus. Any other questions?
Just how many people did you say you had budgeted spaces?
For operators?
Yeah, just in general.
I think it's around 300.
Okay, and you got how many now?
Right now we have 180 operators, but budgeted for 250. So we're looking.
You're looking at 25, what normal people call
20 to
drivers,
35.
like bus drivers.
I look at it as a good balance between, you're going to have, any health organization has some overtime. We just don't want to have inefficient.
Yeah.
So that's what we're trying to find that balance.
You're generating. Probably a substantial amount of hiring right now.
And I know it's a capital matter, but how's the electrification going? We have some grants pending to buy more electric
So yeah, council
buses.
approved a few short months ago, purchased 9 additional buses for our low-down grant will be secured back in 2021. So we were just in Anderson, Alabama, where those buses are built yesterday in pre-production. So those first buses will arrive in January of next year, about 9.
Okay.
Yeah. And then we're also in the process, working with city purchasing to do in-route or on-route charging at Knoxville Station.
Oh, okay, so, you can't have e-buses without the charging infrastructure.
As
Right now, there's they only charge at Fifth Avenue?
Yeah, we only charge at Magnolia facility overnight standby charging. And
That's it, there's no other place for them to
Yeah.
charge?
That's correct. And so we're gonna have charging en route at Knoxville Station.
Okay.
So we'll be able to run those buses all day long. And instead of bringing them back at certain points during the day and charging them. So it'll be much more efficient for us as well.
Great.
As we increase our fleet, we're gonna have to have on-road charging.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay,
Great job.
thank you so much.
Thank you. Glad I kept you guys on time.
Yes, you sure did. All right.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm.
Thank you.
Let's do it.
Are you guys taking part?
No, let's just rock and roll. You're okay. You guys, everybody good? Just keep on going?
Yes.
Let's stand up.
I'll be super quick.
Yes,
Hi, good morning. How are you guys doing?
Good.
right, just want to be super quick here before I get into our official ask. I always like to take advantage of having all of your attention, giving you guys a few updates here. Simply put, the news department, or the comms department, excuse me. I just, all right, I'm out.
Hey, you can put one camera in the room. There's one camera.
Wait a minute, I didn't do my part. Okay. Let me start over.
News department.
The news department. What I was trying to say is every year we produce nearly 100 news advisories and releases that go out, but we probably do tenfold when it comes to social media, over 1,000 social media posts every year on our various platforms. And we do countless video and graphic design elements that you guys have seen all throughout the city and on different items in the building, as well as on t-shirts and jackets and other campaigns. Our goal is simply just to share timely, accurate information with the residents here and hopefully increase productive dialogue. And one ways that we've been trying to do that, which is new from the last time I sat in front of you last year, is we've been doing a few boosted posts on social media to see if we can reach new audiences and make sure that we are talking to all of the residents of Knoxville and kind of getting people to plug in a different way. So I wanted to share some of our findings so far. This is very, very new, but from December 26th to January 26th, just through our social media posts on Facebook, the mayor's account alone grew 483%, and the city's Facebook page grew 800%. We saw an increase in net followers on both of those pages. Now, I would be remiss if I didn't mention the snowstorm obviously drove a lot of traffic to us, but it's our job to keep them once they come there. So the fact that these people decided to follow our pages is pretty big, so we're going to be looking at ways into this year that we can continue to try to reach more people. All of those posts ultimately go back to our website. Our website to us is the core of all of the information from the city. That's where a lot of residents and visitors go to find things. So I wanted to kind of take a look at the numbers, and I have from 2019 to today. In 2019, we had about 900,000 users on the City of Knoxville's website. Today, we have 1.2 million.
Wait, repeat that?
Yeah, when from when? 900?
2019,
Okay.
we had 900,000, just over 900,000. Last year, we tracked 1.2 million users. So we've grown by 300,000 people since you took office. And that's what we want to do. We want to continue to try to reach more people, but we want our website, which is often some people's first glimpse into doing business with the city or coming to live in the city, we want it to be as streamlined and as easy to use as possible. So with that said, we feel as a comms team that our website is not reflective of this administration. It is not kept up with changing technology. We're finding that our web provider right now is not as responsive. They have shifted their priorities to school web services rather than municipalities. So I wanted to go through, as you guys know, we've had several outages, several that we feel are completely unacceptable and out of our hands. We had 3 major outages that lasted more than one day in the past few years, and we had nearly 20 interruptions or outages just last year alone. So as we reach out to try to get information from them, it's becoming a little bit more complex. So that is why we are proposing, if not now, in the near future, that we look at an overall website overhaul. It's going to be a lot of work, it's going to be a lot of money, but I think it'll benefit departments, I think it'll benefit our residents, and I think it'll help move us into the next decade appropriately.
So 250,000 would be to, like the web provider would do the, help us do it, or we hire, tell me exactly who, yeah.
They would build the website out, and then we would also use them to help assist in transferring a lot of our data. We have over 15,000 pages, I believe, on our website right now. So it'll take some time. It's a lot more than the last time the city did a website overhaul, which was more than a decade ago. So it's to do those services as well as to be our continued provider and tech updates and services.
And I mean, but it wouldn't be 250 every year. It's like it's sort of like a one-time transition. Okay, so it might be, maybe, I don't know what constitutes capital, but one time.
It's a consulting contract.
It's a consulting contract.
They're going to come in. It is, it's a lift. Yeah.
It's a very
a lot of the cleanup is part of what you're going to have to consult and work on, but then it's lots of individual meetings, and so it's an important lift, but it's work.
You have a city website or municipal, county, wherever that you have seen like, oh, that's our aspiration. We really like what Minneapolis does.
Tracy McDonald and I have been keeping kind of a running list. I'll have to pull that up. I can send it to you guys if you want to see it, just of cities that we look at and go, oh, that, I want to have all fillable forms. I want to have all payments available online. I would like to have easier portals for us to drop video in and for directors to update their pages. It's not as user friendly as a lot of other providers.
So would this be a heavy lift for our IT department also, or this would, the consultants would be the IT support for comms?
I think it would primarily fall on Tracy McDonald and the consultant that we hire. I think
Kristen
IT
Farley.
and Kristen Farley.
Somebody's got to lead the charge. Yeah.
I want more gray hair is what I'm essentially asking for.
Okay, well, I certainly, it is troubling that, you know, the current provider is not really focused on municipal services or the customer service sounds really bad. So, okay, well, we'll see how things unfold as far as our revenues and all that, but I appreciate you putting this in there, and yeah, Tom's team does a great job and has really transformed the way the city communicates, which is good because people are receiving information and digesting news in a lot of different ways than they were 5-10 years ago, so it's important that we keep up.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Kristen?
Just one comment, if this does get funded for this, do make sure we're close with purchasing on that. Don't get too far ahead, you know what I mean? I mean,
Yes.
it's good to have good examples and stuff and purchasing, reach out to whoever those consultants are. But, just keep that in mind.
I believe that Tracy reached out to purchasing to get an idea of what it would cost now and just to get, kind of get the ball rolling. I met with Mark Parker to talk to him about this as well, so he's very well aware that I'm making this ask because it will have impacts on them as well.
Okay. All right. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Now I'm turning it over to the birthday boy. Yay! Sorry. Happy birthday, Charles.
Yes, happy birthday, Charles. I know budget hearings is what everybody dreams about.
On your birthday today.
We were gonna have cake, but you don't do sweets.
That's cute.
Not to the second half.
I know it's right. See you guys.
And I like Amanda and you.
No, I don't go a day over 69. Despite the fact that I'm one day over 69.
Just one.
Yeah.
Only one.
Well, good to see you. Happy birthday.
Thank you very much. As you might have heard, I'm Charles Swan. Represent the law department. I will introduce Amanda. I don't need to introduce Amanda to anybody. She's here in case I actually need to know something. But I will confess right off the bat that our social media presence is pitiful.
So the lawyer's advice, no social.
We're just not good at it at all. And I don't know how many likes we've had, but probably it's not many.
But do you have a good TikTok page?
Trust. What are our TikTok? It doesn't TikTok anymore. So, actually, what I do want to say to you is that I am so proud to represent very fine folks in the law department because our lawyers put out a prodigious work product. Every year, they put out a prodigious work product. We have 7 real lawyers and me, and the amount of stuff that we get done is pretty astounding because you all see it. You all see all the contracts that go through. You have to sign them just like I do. You do.
I sign all the contracts.
They're about 800 some contracts.
I don't sign anything unless it says reviewed by law department.
I hope that's true. And the ordinances and resolutions primarily get prepared in our office. And that's outside of providing legal advice to every department in the city. All the commissions and committees and organized groups that are in the city, we provide legal services to all those folks. And it's just amazing that this small group of lawyers is able to accomplish that. We're able to accomplish it because we have
I believe, the finest staff that you can find anywhere. The legal assistants we have in our office are just amazing people. Amanda and Ava and Amy and Dina and Brenda, our 5 legal assistants, our lawyers could not do what they get done without those legal assistants. Brenda Kahn has been in the law department. She was in the law department when I was in the law department in the early 80s, helping get prepared for the Knoxville World's Fair. That's how long Brenda's been there. And Brenda, every one of them is capable of being a contract lawyer. What our lawyers are fortunate to be able to do is these legal assistants prepare these contracts because they've been doing it for a while. They prepare these contracts, they give it to the lawyer. The lawyer reviews the contract carefully, but typically doesn't have to make all that many changes to the contract because these folks, these assistants are so well-trained and so capable and so smart that they're able to do it and still allow the lawyers to do the other things that maybe the assistants have more trouble doing. So we're just as lucky as we can be to have that. And as I was telling you, Brenda Kahn has 3 lawyers that she represents who all put out a tremendous work product. All 3 of them put out a tremendous work product. And she's been there since I was there the first time. And while she has to put up with old, outdated people like me, she shouldn't have to put up with old, outdated equipment. And I was in her cubicle yesterday and looking at her desk, this metal desk. It's got dents all over it. Half of it doesn't work. It's completely covered up with things. I don't know how she finds anything, but she does. And all of them are in the circumstance where the equipment that they are using to provide these services is just old and outdated. And so we in our budget have requested some help with that so we can get some new equipment, some new furniture. When you say furniture, you think, it's something that maybe is not as important as it might be, but being able to get organized and be able to do your work in an efficient way sometimes depends on having the right equipment, and they need the right equipment. So
would this cover if they wanted a standing desk?
Yes.
I don't know if everybody wants that, but I love mine.
Me too.
as long as they don't bring it in my office. I intend to sit.
Different strokes.
I'm old.
Okay, well, yeah, they're a great team for sure, and I know that our lawyers are a lot more productive because of the legal system's experience and talents. So it seems like providing them with some updated, ergonomically sound furniture would be really a good thing to do, and not too expensive either. So we will do our best to.
We would be grateful for consideration for that.
Okay.
Next year, we'll make it harder on you if we can. This year, if you can assist us in that way, we would be very grateful.
Okay.
Now, what else can we do for you in the law department?
Are you sure you really want to ask that question?
I'm going to give it to somebody else.
You guys do, yeah, it really is incredible the volume of work you do, and whether it's contracts or litigation or preparing the agenda, and just counsel to directors and cabinet members and me. It's a lot. 8 lawyers and how many legal systems?
5.
Yeah, there's a lot of work that a very efficient and productive group of people. So thank you, and keep up the good work, and hopefully we'll be able to provide better furniture for the staff who make the lawyers' work so much easier.
Thank you very much. Sorry about that noise. I think I got a TikTok.
It's probably birthday.
Good response. Have a great day.
Thank you.
They charge a KPD.
Okay.
My desk practice.
All right. All right, well, it's close enough to 1 o'clock. I think we can go ahead and get started. I'm familiar with many of these things, but I look forward to hearing the details.
Yes, ma'am. So, if you don't mind, we'll start off with personnel. On the personnel side, and before we dive into that, just real quick, 2023 really was a remarkable year for KPD, and we're really super excited about everything that we have going on. 35% reduction in murders, 10% reduction in non-fatal shootings, over 30% reduction in automobile burglaries, over 70% solve rate in homicide, which is well above the national average. Stood up the first ever KPD homicide unit. We're intentionally enhancing community partnerships, and something we're very, very proud of how deliberate we are with our community partnerships. And that really does pay off when we're focusing on being able to solve crime as well. We had multiple assessments of our agency, which really is helping us exponentially really modernize and change our department. And most importantly, which really kind of goes into our second item here, is we're building true accountability systems that never really existed before at KPD. So we're super excited about the year we had, and we're really even more excited about 2024, 2025, and 2026. So the first item that we have on personnel request is the personnel supplement request, which is recruit to appeal 4, the salary adjustments. We want to thank you, Mayor, and the City Council, City Government for the pay raise that you all passed 2 years ago. We know that pay raise was extraordinary, truly helped our agencies, absolutely needed. But the reality is that over the last 2 years, other agencies really have passed us by. We now have the lowest starting pay for law enforcement in the county, might even be in the region. And the reality is that we have a lot of people, 90+ people eligible to retire right now.
Wait, let me just take some notes here. 90
plus eligible to retire now. By 2027, that number's going to be well over 130. In spite of our significant hiring that we did in 2023, we've had a net loss in 2023 with officers leaving, and that really runs the gamut. It's for a lot of retirements. We are losing officers to the Y12, the plants, because the pay is very, very significant. And we've lost officers to other agencies as well, agencies like Highway Patrol and University of Tennessee that pay more money than we do.
So just to clarify, you said we're lowest in the county, at least for starting pay.
Yes, ma'am.
We're lower than the sheriffs, we're lower than THP, we're lower than UTPD.
Yes, ma'am. And pretty much is it the region, Chief?
It's close to the region.
Mayor, I think as you and I discussed, so we did our compensation study and analysis. And I think honestly, it opened the doors for a lot of other departments that then study. And so we did our analysis, they had our data market here, and then a few months later, they all did it in the market because of inflation had already jumped above us. So it's an issue that is in this first request that, certain positions have to get adjusted based on data in the market.
Yeah.
Right now, our staffing is at 336 with an authorized stat strength of 416. 336 as of today for sworn strength. That's including myself and Chief. And
So
we have
34.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Let's get back to gas valve. Get back to gas.
I can't speak for David, but I do a lot. I haven't quite figured out what he does yet.
But you know, when we talk about 336, that includes command staff.
Yes, ma'am.
who are obviously essential to the department, but not, out there patrolling the streets on a day-to-day basis,
Yeah.
like.
Yes, ma'am. And I think that actually really is a very relevant point to make, because a lot of times when we talk about staffing, when they hear 336, I think a lot of times what people think is, well, that's 336 uniformed police officers out on the street. And the reality is that's our supervisors, that's our detectives, that's our community partnership officers, that's our accreditation specialists. That's the people we have working in the evidence room. So it's, its number can be a little bit deceiving. So I think that's actually a good point. We have 5 people that we're aware of right now that are going to be separating in March. Some leaving to other law enforcement agencies to go make more money. Others pursuing other jobs outside of law enforcement that pay more money. And one thing I think that we're seeing, trends that we're seeing across policing in general, is that, when David and I came on, we came on to be in this profession for our entire lives. And what the paradigm has shifted, where people are coming on more like the military, like enlisted military personnel, coming on to do policing for 5, 8, 10 years, not generally staying the entire time. So, while many will stay the entire time, people are not coming on with a commitment to do 30 years anymore. So the paradigm has shifted in police recruiting across the country. You also saw there was that piece in the Compass yesterday about how challenging it is in East Tennessee to hire people in general. Generally, the workforce it's really challenging. So my point is that we really appreciate your consideration in this request to supplement these salaries.
And this 2.9 million is salaries only, the benefits would be in addition to that.
That's my understanding. There's going to be fringe on top of that as well.
Pension.
Yes, ma'am.
So, but I think it's really important to note that, this is based on analysis done through HR with KPD's help. This is true market need adjustment for these positions. So recruit through PO4 are areas where we are below market. Other positions are either holding market or just a little bit above. So this is based on data. And it's probably the one area like engineering, a couple positions in engineering where, on whole, the compensation study corrected our market challenges, but not in these positions. And they're super critical.
The market's just been more competitive and are just more challenged in policing and engineering.
Yeah. Especially policing. The demand right now, if you want to be a police officer, it's almost unlimited where you can get hired.
One great example of that is, David has done a great job of really, leading our recruiting efforts. And, we've been very deliberate in our recruiting and analytics to back it up. The people that we're touching in our recruiting efforts have more than doubled. But the people that we actually get in the door to interview for the job has decreased dramatically. And it's not because we're doing anything wrong, it's because they have so many different options out there. If you want to be a police officer in East Tennessee, you could get hired in any agency in East Tennessee. If you want to be an NYPD officer, Chicago, LA, all those jobs are available. All those agencies are hiring. There's one time in NYPD, they had a massive backlog of people waiting to get on. All those agencies are now hiring. Another thing to consider, just like Knoxville, back in the late 90s, early 2000s, when President Clinton was in office, they had the 100,000 Cops Initiative, where all across the country, law enforcement hired a massive amount of police officers at one time. Well, now, many of those police officers have now become eligible to retire. It's not just in Knoxville, it's all across the country. So police agencies all across the country are really in the same boat that we are.
Sky high.
Absolutely. And kind of the challenge that we have in Knoxville is that, the last couple of years, we weren't fully staffed. So not only are we trying to keep up with the Joneses, we were already behind at the beginning.
Mm-hmm. And I know some agencies have used big signing bonuses. And those, how did you've prioritized salary over that. Just can you speak to that a little bit?
Yes, ma'am. So the signing bonuses, some agencies that are really struggling to hire people have used signing bonuses as big as $20,000, $30,000 to try to get people in. While I certainly believe that is effective, what I would rather do is give people a very, very competitive starting salary and then have that salary increase over their years of service. And the proposal that you all will receive, I believe, really presents a fair, competitive starting salary where we would be the highest paid agency in the region again, other than the Highway Patrol and the labs. We're not going to go compete with the Highway Patrol. We're not going to go compete with Y-12, but we would be the highest under those two. And it would be a salary where you come on board, you could get regular pay increases as you move up and have a very competitive pay, as opposed to kind of like upfront gimmick to get someone to kind of sign on, then they're not gonna be happy. I really do believe that this is the
Well,
right
also
thing.
signing bonuses don't help with retention.
No matter.
Yeah, and
That's a big issue.
And sometimes signing bonuses are a way to get you in the door. Those bonuses often aren't paid at one time.
Yes.
A lot of times you'll get a bonus, so you may have a lower starting. Your signing bonus is your bonus, but it may get paid out over 2 to 3 years. So essentially, it's a little bit of a gimmick. So I think what Chief Noel and HR, I know you said, we want to have a culture where people want to stay, they're fairly paid, and we have a compensation package that's competitive. And I think we're looking at all those parts. This is one piece. Everybody wants a silver, kind of how do we get to the solution? And it's a mix of those things. And so you're going to see a request later about our deferred compensation, and about could we look at that tool as a way to keep people here longer, especially newer employees.
One thing with the signing bonus, yeah, that is a big thing in the military. The thing about the military is you're staying
Yes.
that amount of time.
No matter what.
It's either that or go to Leavenworth or local stock, but you stay. Whereas we don't have that ability. You know, I mean, you can sue somebody, but
Yeah.
is it worth the sue? So that's a key difference. Right?
Absolutely, yeah. And that's the thing, all across the country, we have one person leaving to go become a software engineer, another person to go to another federal government agency. And we don't have the ability, like Boy said, to hold on to those individuals. When those opportunities present themselves, that's one of the, when we hire exceptional people, they have a lot of opportunities. And that's what really, we have a lot of really good people at KPD, and those opportunities, when they come calling, we want to really give them not only, a strong mission for them to want to stay, we want to make sure that they're fairly and competitively compensated, so they don't want to leave and go wrong other places.
Right, we don't want people to leave because they can't pay their bills.
Absolutely.
Okay.
The second position that we have, after that I'm giving to the Chief Collins, so he feels relevant, is the personnel new position request for police compliance specialist. So this is something I'm super excited about, right? So, and just one point of clarification, I think on the back of the house document y'all have, this is not a uniform position, this is a civilian position. It may say uniform on your documents. So, we talk a lot about culture at KPD, right? It's one of the 4 C's that we've mentioned over and over again. We have great people at KPD, but what we don't have, and what we're trying to build now, is systems, and systems that help support forward-looking accountability measures. So, this is what I mean when I start talking about culture, is building these systems, building these formal structures that support forward-looking accountability. And this is what this position is. This position is really critical to the next evolution of KPD. Right now, we are working with a subject matter expert to help us build internal systems to review and monitor uses of force, body-worn camera, and other accountability measures. That subject matter expert that we have is completely funded and paid for by the Law Enforcement Knowledge Lab under the Bureau of Justice Assistance. So they're going to help us build these structures. This is what big cities have. Big city police departments already have built these structures. Mid-sized cities are just starting to build this now.
Do you need to have someone, sometimes we have outside consultants who help establish things and then it's established and you don't need a full-time position to do it.
No, this would be a person, like this would, the consultant is going to help us build the system, but this is the person that's going to be doing the work, right? So this is really, what this is going to be is a checks and balances system. This is the person that's going to be checking the checkers, right? So this is not going to be a a part-time job. Once we get this stood up, long-term, this is going to be, we're going to need more than one person to do this over the next couple of years. This is just the start of starting to build this. There is a tremendous amount of work to be done here. We have supervisors right now that are required to review a certain amount of body-worn camera. We have accountability measures that we're starting to build in place. This is a person that's checking the checkers. This is the person that's starting to look at all uses of force. This role will pay for itself in the long term 10 times over, right?
What do you anticipate the qualifications would be? Like, not a law degree for that.
Oh, absolutely not. This is a much lower level
A policy, like a
This is a low-level position. This would be someone that has a bachelor's degree, somebody that might have, some type of auditing background. But I don't really want to fully answer your question. That's why we've engaged that subject matter expert. They're going to help us build this all out. So we actually just had our first meeting with that SME already. And we have a project that will run through the third quarter of this year to help us build these systems. So having this person come on, we build the systems, we're going to the person to do the work is, it's not really going to work for us. This is really, other than the pay raises, this is the biggest piece that we have. And I really do believe not only that this is critical, but this is going to pay for itself 10 times over, because what this is going to help us do is catch small issues before they fester and become larger issues.
Okay.
And with that said, I will pass it over to Chief Powell for the rest.
So I'm going to skip around here just a bit, but to build on top of what the chief said on the 335 officers, sworn officers we have, and talked about that there's some officers that fill departments or fill units or job duties that could be held by civilian personnel. And that's the first one here is the accreditation specialist. Right now we have an officer who sits in there and it's basically getting all of our policies and making sure our policies are followed correctly. And so they reach out to each top bureau's units and get the paperwork for our CLIA certifications and our TALIA. So we're asking for a position there again so that that officer can be released back into the field. There's really no need to have a sworn personnel there. Any civilian or any professional staffer can take that position. There'll be some training periods there, but that would release that. Again, we're getting away from the old mind concept of where we need a sworn throughout the building. Departments aren't doing that now because we're getting this, not only with us, but other departments are getting this crush and these folks retiring. They're learning different ways of putting civilian personnel in.
Do you have any vacancies in your civilian positions right now?
I can't answer that question because we're still hammering out what finance says we've got, what civil service says we got, HR says we have. So we're working through those details to get it all back into one.
They usually have some, but it's not nothing like the sworn.
There's always a few, like anybody.
Right.
There's
But
always
this position doesn't even exist yet.
No.
Don't have to do it. It'd be a new position.
This is the equivalent of hiring a new police officer at half the price. Right, so we have a uniformed police officer doing this work right now. We have to outfit them with all this equipment. They got to go through all the training, and they're sitting behind the desk doing this work. We have to have this position to maintain our national accreditation and our state accreditation. If this position doesn't exist, we don't have an officer doing this, we lose our accreditation. So by hiring this person at half the price, or maybe even more than half the price of a senior police officer, we can take that officer, put them back out on the street. And to me, it makes a lot of sense.
The next one is the electronic evidence technician. Again, this is a position. These next two are new as well, and so how this would help us.
What's the name of this one you have?
The electronic evidence technician.
Okay.
We have it listed as 6.
Okay, you are skipping around.
I am just a little bit. I can go line by line.
I can follow on. Electronic evidence technician.
And the reason I'm doing that is to try to break it down on the rationale behind of getting these positions. So how this would help us, we don't actually have an officer assigned to this, but it's investigators. And as you well may know, with all the digital technology in policing, and when we investigate a crime, it takes a huge amount of electronic digital investigation along with that. And that takes time whether you're downloading cell phones or you're looking at whatever it may be. It takes time for these machines to process that. So it's taken away from our investigators. This position would help lighten that load for our investigators. This position would be, they would solely be responsible for taking this information in, download it for the investigators, and to push it out to whatever they receive. The second is the family service advocate. As you well know, the drug overdose has skyrocketed. And so what this position would help with, families want to know, what's going on with my case? What's going on with my daughter? case, or my son, or whatever it be. And typically, because of such the overload on investigators, they don't have the time that should be taken to call these families. And so that's what we're looking for here is an advocate that can, much like on the family services, they could reach out. That would be their sole position, is to reach out to the families and give them updates on how the investigation's going, and allow the investigators to go back and do what they're supposed to be doing, is investigate the case. Now I'm gonna kick back up to 4 and 5. Both of these are covered currently with grants. And I brought these to you in years past, past couple of years, I guess. So I understand that the grants are currently planned for those salaries, but for the number 4, the VOCA grant, last year the city was able to take 2 of those positions because VOCA funding is continuing to decrease year by year, and they've even decreased a little bit this year. And so last year we took 2 employees that's been on VOCA grant funding for the past 4 or 5 years, and we brought them over to city funding, or paid out by city, which left 2 on the grant that we currently have. We're asking that if we could take those 2, bring them over on the city funding, that would leave us with 2 additional folks that could be hired under the VOCA grant for however long it lasts. Like I've discussed with finance, typically when these people are hired, or always when they're hired, they're told you're being hired on a grant fund. It could last a year, it could last 10 years, we don't know. So they're told that up front.
Chief Bell, this grant has been tapering down.
Yes.
These are 2 existing employees that are no longer grant funded that you want to make full-time without grants. Is that what you're saying?
No, sir. The grant's still funding those 2. We would like to pull them over to city, just like we did the other 2 last year, and then hire 2 more, because the workload has increased. So by bringing them over to city funding, we can open up 2 more positions to put on.
But the grants, you don't think the grant is gonna go down to 0? You
It was
just want
supposed to
more,
be.
basically you want to have more staff.
Exactly, yes ma'am. We can, by bringing these 2 over, we can hire 2 more on the grant. This grant was supposed to, was it 2 years ago? They were supposed to completely go away with it, but they keep bumping it each year. We find out, push out 1 more year, 1 more year. So
Is that-
that's
I mean,
where we stand.
Okay.
And then the ICAP. So we've asked to bring this before. Right now, currently, the way the ICAP works is we oversee the whole state. And typically, other than a few big, large departments do ICAP, they use ICAP grant funding to fund employees. We've got 2, what they're called digital evidence forensic technicians. We have 2 that we pay out of that grant. We would like to bring them over to city funding. And the reason for is we could take I think the total grant is $600,000 for the whole state of Tennessee. So their 2 salaries together is what, $114,000. If we brought their 2 salaries over to the city, that would allow $114,000 more to go across the state.
Why would we want to do that? That doesn't make any sense. Like, why would we want to subsidize stuff that's across the state?
So it's not our money to begin with, it's state, the whole grant is $600,000.
Right, so why don't we get our 114 paid for as part of the statewide?
So that's part of that ICAP grant, that pays their salary. And they're doing about 90% of their daily work is focused on city investigations that they're doing.
So currently we have a statewide grant that's helping support city
Yes, ma'am.
investigations. That
That's right.
sounds like a good thing.
It is.
Budgetarily.
It is until you're trying to get other departments or agencies throughout the state. When it comes, they need funding. And then they kick back and they don't understand, well, you're paying for 2 forensic evidence is here in Knoxville when that money should be distributed out to the whole state. Does that make sense, what I'm saying?
Well, we're the 3rd biggest city in the state. It makes sense that of 600,000, 100,000 would go towards investigations in our community. I mean, I don't know how ICAC investigations tend to fall out, but
Right.
I guess I hate to supplant use city funds to supplant things that we're getting funds from the state for. maybe I'm misunderstanding.
No, you're not, I mean.
But this sounds like a good thing.
It-
Not from the people you talk around, from other parts of the state, but for us.
Right. For us, it is a good thing,
Okay.
but there's other agencies that if we took those salaries on, that money would free up to allow them to bring other agencies to buy them equipment off of the grant. Because the 600,000 is for the whole state of Tennessee. So if we took those salaries, that just frees up more money on the grant.
Well, maybe the
to buy
state should give more money to the grant.
equipment. I agree 100%. Maybe we look at
The reason for that request is there's way more ICAC cases than we can handle in Knoxville and across the state. There's a lot of crimes being perpetrated against children. So that's the reason for this request, is just to be able to build out a bandwidth, not only in Knoxville, but statewide.
So who in the state, is this the Department of, is it TBI, or who gives out this grant, from the state side?
that I don't, I'm not
Like it's
sure.
pass through.
It's a federal grant.
It's federal
Pass through.
through either TBI or one of the.
It is, it used to be TACP, but TBI runs it now. It's passed through.
And a bit of it, if I remember correctly, and Pitcher and I can dig in on it, was some of this was, we've been counting a whole bunch of our time that really needed to be distributed out further beyond the state, and there were some auditors at the state level saying, so there's, I think, a little bit of that as well, if I remember correctly from last year, but we can dig in on the details and get the facts to you.
But I want to be clear that we're not doing anything wrong here. It's just, it would help us, it would help the funding, ICAP funding to go further if these go well.
Maybe the best way to put it is, a higher percentage of that money is going to us than other places.
Right.
Right.
But your top, if you had to pick your top two, is police compliance specialists all day long, and then obviously the market correction. Those are just.
If we don't get that compliance specialist, we're gonna shut down building these accountability systems that we're building now, because I need someone back in the house to keep that operating.
Good to know.
And I really don't want to do that.
Okay, I want to move to, I guess it's equipment that it's broke down under, and I'm going order here. The
We've
first
done all
is-
the personnel.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
So the first one is Flock, and I can't say enough about how great this product has been, and the city has been very fortunate with our grants department for the past 2 to 3 years. Grants have paid for that, but those grant fundings have run out.
So is this for hardware or licensing?
It's hardware. So we lease each one of these cameras. It's only, we can't purchase them, you just lease them.
It's contract.
Contract,
Lease.
yes, that's correct. So the total, right now we have 28 total Flock cameras. 27 of them are stationary, 1 is mobile. And again, they have helped us not only for
They've been great.
they have. So you're-
I'm familiar, I've done some ride-alongs,
Right.
and, they're very crucial too.
And the biggest thing that helped us through what we didn't even fathom when we got them is people who've been reported missing. And we found the tag going by, they're not actually missing, they didn't want to be found, right? So.
Interesting, okay.
Police recruit gear. So typically we have a bucket full of money where we are allotted for police gear. Since Chief Noel's coming and we're trying to catch up, we have been doing at least three recruit academies and other lateral academies on top of that. So that bucket of money that's always worked for us is just, we're coming up shy with it now, and we're having to drain from other accounts to get that police gear purchased. So that's what that one's referring to. We've got child help here as well. So if I go off track here, I think I'm correct on the ARPA money is what we're funding that
Let me
for.
jump in. So the police department utilizes child help for interviews of minors that have potentially been or allegations of abuse. There's also counseling that they provide that was funded through ARPA. That was in 2 kind of different pots of money. This is a single request to continue those services. And this was requested by KPD for the base amount. And then Child Help came in and asked for the continuation of those ARPA counseling dollars. And that's something, again, we'll have to look at as the budget develops over time. But you utilize them for the actual interview of victims.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
Does Child Help do this for other law enforcement entities?
Yes, they do.
They do.
They do it for the sheriff's office. They're actually a regional
it involves the region.
And they have similar contracts with those entities or something.
I don't know what their, I mean, the 95, the base contract is significantly less than 95. This was a single request through KPD. We would probably do a contract with them to continue that base service and continue some level of counseling. What we funded them with ARPA dollars during COVID for additional behavioral health services for youth was $125,000 plus the contract. So this is still a significant reduction, but again, it's one of those things we'll have to dig in. I know the base service is at a minimum.
It's not a reduction overall, it's a reduction just from the ARPA, which was, we always hear was one-time dollars.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
Okay, the next one on our list is Axon Data Storage. Basically what this is to enhance the system we have now. So currently when our crime analysis or crime lab investigators go out and photo a scene, they take the photos and they come back and we have raw storage of photos. And we're putting them on a internal hard drive. What we would like to do is enhance that and upload those straight into evidence.com. That way it's shared with the court systems, it's shared through our whole system as well. When somebody, for instance, if we're prosecuting a case in court or if we want to pull something up, we don't have to call down to crime lab and say, hey, can you burn that off of that drive we've got internally? It's on a cloud drive through the same thing as our body cam, evidence.com. And mainly it's just a easier share or pathway with the court systems to share with them so they can tap into it as well.
This is an easy, efficiency measure for us. I mean, we burn CDs all the time for photos. For 7,300, we can put it up on a cloud base. We also don't have to worry about internal server crashing and losing a bunch of evidence. This is really a no-brainer for us.
Okay.
And then the last two, I think I put on a check for, if nothing else to put on your radar, the KPD negotiation team. This in itself is, as we are growing and becoming a more efficient department, our special teams need to grow as well. They've long been neglected, and so basically what this is if the better our special teams are in going out on crisis negotiations, that can save us money. Maybe if we could go out and get them out there earlier and get them the tools they need, it would save us from having a SOS call out. It would save us overtime and calling out investigators. They could go and squash the scene quickly, but they've been neglected for many years, way before your administration. They just hadn't had the tools that they needed. And so this is just kind of a boost to get them back up to the level they need to be with the department we are.
This should pay for itself over time, tenfold as well. Back, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, in SWAT roles, they would, negotiate for a little bit, then they just go in. And, best practices now is to negotiate, time is on our side. But we need more people trained, we need better training to be able to do that. That really all goes into everything we push into the culture of de-escalation at KPD, right? So this will be something that I really believe we invest this money in this organization, you're gonna get that back 10, 24.
And then finally, the KPD Marine Unit, again, another unit that has been heavily neglected. We have basically just depended on the fire department when we have
This is a boat.
a ground.
This is a boat, the KPD boat.
Well, it's actually 12,000, it's of course slip. We've got a boat.
That's what I'm saying, though, but the Marine unit is your boat, and
Yes.
you need to slip for it.
Yes, because the problem is right now where we're at, if there is a body in the water, we have to go get the boat. Put it in
Where's the
water.
boat?
It's, we keep it at Fifth Avenue, over on Fifth Avenue. So it's a little bit of a truck.
It's inside, right?
It is, yes.
So if you kept it in a slip, it would just be in the water all the time?
Yes.
Ready to go.
Yeah, for
Where
quick
would it-
response,
yeah,
it'd
where
probably
would
be
it
in the
be?
marina.
The Marina.
That's where KFD's is.
Okay,
right?
it's right next to KFD's, yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's
So
like
is it there
it.
all the time?
I mean, they take it in and out, but they have a slip in it.
Many of you, I've yet to try to buy my boat. This is not my boat. This is actually for KFD. Make that clear. We'll talk.
It's older.
And then some training too. Again, that team has kind of been, hasn't been taken care of and they kind of dwindled down. So we probably need to invest some money in that. Again, just put on the horizon that's something that we need to look at. That's all we have.
Well, obviously the big one is market adjustment.
Yes, ma'am.
You know, we spent, we'll have to dig into that a little deeper and I've shared some information with me today and a little bit beforehand. And it's a big one, but pretty important one to get behind, and we can't afford to get behind, but knowing that we're down to 336 sworn officers at 416, that's 80 officers down, that's a lot.
With more coming. You know, people ask me all the time, Chief, what keeps me up at night? It's this. It really is. It's this changing workforce. It's the aging workforce that we have at KPZ. And it's the fact that, you know, we were competitive 2 years ago, and now we just said that we're not competitive anymore.
And I think it's something else, I was talking to council last night, when somebody quits or resigns, it affects us immediately. But if we hire somebody, it doesn't affect us immediately. It's 40 weeks before we feel the effect. So that's the thing. We're still, if we hired 100 people today, it's 40 weeks before we feel it.
Well, and they're still very experienced too.
Well, even more than that, I mean, like we're recruiting people now that maybe we'll be able to get in our September academy. And when they start the academy in September, it's 1 year before they will finish field training.
Right.
So, you know, it's not, you know, hot stove, you touch it and your hand burns. It's really, about an 18-month delay until they really
Right, so the officers who just graduated Monday.
22 weeks of field training.
Right.
22 weeks of field training. And even then, on day one coming out of field training, they're like little baby policemen. They need some time to be able to grow and learn. Absolutely.
Water and feed.
Yeah.
Okay, well, good stuff. I'm really proud of the progress the police department's been making, and it's actually incredible. I mean, the crime down a lot, community engagement is up, the culture's going well. Career, that's a C that we need to work on because we want to keep the good officers we have and attract and retain a bunch more. And so the fifth C might be compensation.
I love it. I mean, the first C.
That's great.
The first C would be compensation.
Well, it's all really, having appropriate compensation, market rate is key to, having, to the whole workforce. But obviously being 80 officers down is the biggest vacancy staffing issue we have in the city right now. So we'll hopefully be able to make some progress on this. So.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, let's
8 a.m. tomorrow.
8 a.m. tomorrow.
Fire, Kima.
Fire, Kima, and then
Should be what time?